Hello, hello, travelers. Welcome in. Today, as you can see, we are doing some more Tales with Time. And we are going to finish The Edge of Sleep today. Having said that, I have heard your guys' requests for our next story. We're going to do the collection of Grimm's Brothers fairy tales. I'm very excited for that. I have the very fancy hardcover version on the way, so I have been welcomed. And also, let me read what you said before, Skelly. Hi, Skelly. Hi, Edge. Welcome in. Welcome in. Most productive thing I did today was play Magic the Gathering with my friends, and I won one of the three games. Hell yeah, Skelly. Good job. No, I cleaned my room today in my bathroom in my car, my usual cleaning that I do on Sunday. I uploaded some clips. I haven't uploaded all of them yet, but I uploaded some clips, and then I went to a like a big bounce house place with my siblings, and my coworker and her kids, and that was nice. And then I came home and I like vegged out on my bed. So, and then I had tater tots and barbecue sliders for dinner. And then my drink of choice today is some breakfast. What is it? Breakfast gray or breakfast black tea with some honey and sugar because I like honey and I like my tea sweet. So I think I commented on all those clips and that sounds so cute. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Yes. I'm gonna try and post the rest of the clips all tomorrow, but I'm gonna be working a good majority of the day tomorrow, so I'm not quite sure if I'll be able to post any tomorrow. I'll at least get them like prepped for editing, but I don't know if I'll post them all tomorrow or not. But yes, again, we're here with Tales of Time, The Edge of Sleep. Our next story is the Brothers Grimm's fairy tale. I'm very excited for that one because I like the Brothers Grimm's because they're like the original fairy tales and they're much darker and more like what era attuned to that time, so nothing is like pretty or it's all like pretty gory. Actually, I don't want to work, but it's necessary, bro. Same. I don't want to go to work tomorrow, but I got to. I'm just lucky that I get like a split shift, so I only deal with the kids in the morning and then in the afternoon, but I have to stay in the middle part of the day to help clean out our giant supply closet that we have that we're still working on, and then taking care of our fish. No, oh yeah, another thing I did today is my boss wanted all of the like estimated pricing for all of the fish tanks we're doing and what fish we want. So I literally when I got home, I spent like what 2 3 hours working out pricing for literally every single equipment piece we would need, everything we would need for the decor and the decoration, all the live plants, all the live rocks, and then all of the fish we would need. Like, and it's all estimated pricing because like depending on where we buy it from or like the rarity of the fish, like it was a lot. So I did that before I like vegged out on my bed for a little bit. But yes, so I've been looking at a lot of numbers today. So hopefully my eyes won't hurt too bad while reading because I literally was staring at my computer screen for a while, and I printed out a lot of paper. But yes, I'm so excited to finish the book today. We don't have too much left. We've got like a couple like chapters I think left, but we're almost there, guys. We're so close to the end, and I'm so excited. But yes, let me go over the Tales of Time expectations. Most of you already know this, but I like to go over it each time just as a reminder. Number one, no spoilers. You may know the book, you may know the show. That's great, that's fine. Just make sure you don't ruin or spoil it for anyone else who is hearing it or watching it for the first time. Which leads to number two, please be respectful. Respect other people's opinions because they respect yours. You can have different opinions, just don't shit on other people's opinions. You can agree to disagree. Also, don't spam. I don't care if you spam things about the actual book, I may not read them until the end of the chapter, but if you spam things like dick or vagina or something like that, just don't do that. Because I will kick you or ban you. One of the two. Probably both. And then number three, I am not a pro or professional reader. I will mess up. I will make comments. I will stop reading, or I'll missay words, or I might change things that are in the book. Yes, yes, like that, Skelly. Um, but which brings me to the next one, number four. If you would like to hear professional reading, please go check out the actual audiobook read by professional, like voice actors and whatnot. Check out the actual book, whether it's the physical version or if you buy it on like your what is it, the reading tablets. And then also check out the show. It has Markiplier. It's a very good show. I'm almost finished with the show. I've been watching like each episode as I've been reading the book. And it's been very good so far. I very much enjoy it. But yes, we are going to go ahead and get on to our next thing. Speaking of, if you guys don't know or are new, we're nearly done with the book. Um, what else was I saying? I've been saying a lot. We're nearly done with the book. We're right around the ending, so if you don't want any spoilers or anything like that, feel free to leave. I'll catch you on the next stream. Having said that, I won't stream until Tuesday this week because I don't stream Mondays usually unless I'm making up a stream or I just decide to do a random stream, but I will not be streaming tomorrow, Monday. What else was I gonna say? The fuck else was I gonna say? Also, the last time we read this story, what happened? Hold on. Oh yes, the last chapter we read, it was basically about all the people dying. Yeah, more dispatches from Earth. Let's see. Oh yes, and then they figured out that people were dying in their dreams. That they were dying like not as soon as they fell asleep, but they see like a dream and then they die from it, which it's like 2 minutes or something. 3 minutes, I think, is what they said it took for them to start dreaming. And so they put Dave under, and he was dreaming, I think, or no, he is going to dream. No, he is going to go into a dream, is what they're planning. Yes, because they found the triangle on the corpse's brain. And so Dave was like, I recognize that triangle, so let's put me under so we can see and like find out what the fuck's happening in the dreams that's killing people type deal. So we're gonna do that. And yeah. All right, let's get into it. I like rambled for a good portion of that, so let me skip past these. The Nightmare. We're in chapter 9. The Nightmare. Here we go, guys. Are we ready? So ready. All right, here we go. Wait, let me take a sip of my tea. Just kidding. Hold on. Not ready yet. Let me take a sip of my tea so I'm not dying of thirst. Very good. Very good. All right. Getting into it. The Nightmare, Part 1. Out of the question, Katie exclaims. Absolutely not. 2 minutes, that's all, Dave says. 2.5 tops. Katie's not completely off base, Dave, Linda says. You're as sleep deprived as any of us. Your body might not want to wake up. Don't fucking agree with me, Katie snaps and takes a step toward Linda. Whoa, whoa. Mateo inserts himself between the women. Maybe let's not reduce the remaining population of the Earth by 1 just yet. When Katie backs down, still seething, he says, That goes for you too, Dave. If I've learned anything at all from a lifetime of running from nightmares, Dave says, it's that you can't run forever. You've got to face what scares you. And mutilate ourselves doing it? Mateo asks. No thanks, Mr. Rogers. We're all taking those stim pills again, right now. Linda? Linda shrugs. Dave's a big boy, she says. He can make his own decisions. I'll never talk to you again, Katie warns. Hey, Dave says, reaching for her hands. I know Ruth meant something to you, but I promise I'm not going anywhere. He kisses her forehead gently, then turns to Linda. Let's get ready. Chapter 9, Part 2. Linda selects a sleep study room in the neurology wing of the hospital. There's a bed outfitted with all sorts of monitoring equipment, where she fastens electrodes to Dave's forehead and chest and clips a pulse monitor to his finger. She inserts an IV, then explains to Dave that if it's hard to wake him up, she'll give him a jolt of something that should do the trick. The familiarity of the scenario is not lost on Dave, whose mouth goes suddenly dry. 2 minutes. I'll be watching the clock, Linda promises. Katie takes his hand. Come back, she says, biting back tears. Or we'll fucking kill you, Mateo finishes. Jesus, I feel like one of the farmers at the end of The Wizard of Oz, gathering around Dory's bed. Doris's bed? Dorothy, Dave corrects, grinning nervously. And you're no farmer. Linda pats Dave's foot. Ready? He meets Katie's glistening eyes. Ready. Close your eyes, Linda advises. Deep, slow breaths. Chapter 9, Part 3. I don't think it's working, Dave says, turning toward Linda. But Linda isn't there. He sits up, dislodging the electrodes, and says, Guys? Across the room, the three of them confer with their heads together. Dave feels a sudden pang at being left out. Guys, he says again, but his windpipe suddenly tightens, turning his voice reedy and weak. His skin hurts, like it's been stretched to breaking over his bones. His lips are blistered and raw. He swings his legs over the edge of the bed, but when he puts his weight on them, they buckle like damp cardboard. He pitches forward, dragging the IV pool to the floor and tearing the needle from his arm. A fat bead of blood swells up, then spills down his arm and onto the linoleum. Help, he tries to say, but Linda, Katie, and Mateo mechanically turn away from him and walk out of the room. Dave drags himself across the floor, begging them to wait. His hospital gown splits open, and he looks down at his attire, wondering where his clothes have gone. But did Linda redress him? How long was he out? The room seems to expand away from him. When he reaches the door, it is grown. It towers over him like an obelisk. Addled, Dave hauls himself through the space beneath the door, then lies gasping in the hall, crystallized with sweat. Every breath he sucks into his lungs burns as if laced with nerve gas. His friends are at the end of the hall, gathered at the water cooler. Mateo drains a plastic cup, water pouring over his lips like a waterfall. It thunders to the carpet. Dave crawls toward them, watching as they down cup after cup. He feels as if he's been dragging himself across a desert by the time he arrives. Though he's the right size, they don't seem to notice him. Their conversation is unintelligible, like a swarm of bees holding court. Water, Dave pleads, but they don't respond. He reaches for the blue spigot and opens his mouth. The cooler burbles and churns, then issues a soft sigh, spewing a column of sand over Dave's tongue. Katie squats beside him now, cackling like a crow. He recoils from her mad eyes, their pupils contorted into jet-black pyramids. She dips her fingers into her cup of water, then gently traces Dave's lips. But where she touches, his lips crack open. He tastes blood mixed with gritty sand. Dave rolls away from Katie, and the hospital floor, now churned to sand, swallows him, then coughs him out onto parched dirt. Dave blinks against the sudden, harsh sun, searching for his friends. But they're gone. He's surrounded by rolling green hills, pinned beneath a perfect blue sky. It looks like the Windows XP desktop, he thinks absurdly, except hotter. 20 feet away is a cozy stone well, complete with a little roof, a crank, a bucket. Thank Christ, Dave thinks, and forces himself to his feet. His legs hold, barely, and he hobbles toward water. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Something yanks his ankle, and Dave goes down, the wind knocked out of him. His lungs burn as he catches his breath, and then he rolls over and sees the chain. Not quite 20 feet long. It extends from a stake hammered deep into the soil and terminates in a fetter that's clamped to Dave's ankle. He turns and reaches for the well, but his fingers fall short of the stone. Fuck me. He collapses onto his back again. For hours and hours he lies there, unmoving, watching the sun. It's no sun he knows. It hangs at its peak for the longest time, then plummets toward the horizon, plunging Dave into cool, blessed darkness. But minutes later, it peeks over the opposite horizon. The same pattern repeats itself for days. Dave's skin burns and cracks and bleeds and burns again. He sweats away all of his body's moisture. His gums retract, his teeth grow loose. Time no longer means anything to Dave. Weeks pass, he thinks, or maybe months, before he hears the car. Too weak to sit up, he just listens to the engine as it draws nearer. A squeal of brakes, a shuffle of gears, and the car falls silent. A door opens, then shuts again with a metallic chunk. A shadow falls mercifully over Dave's face. He can't see very well. Weeks of staring up at the sun have wrecked his sight, but a cool palm touches his face, and he almost sobs at the tenderness of the gesture. "Oh, honey," a familiar voice says. "Haven't I always told you how important hydration is?" "Mom?" Tracy steps past Dave and turns the well house's crank. The chain clinks as the bucket descends. After a few turns, he hears a faint splash. He'd salivate if he had any saliva left. His mother retrieves the full bucket and scoops a ladle of water before returning to his side. "Drink, honey," she says. She slips a hand beneath his head and lifts his lips to the cup, and bong! The brassy sound rings out over the hills, pure and clear and loud. Dave feels as if a film has been brushed away from his eyes. The gong's echo ripples, rolling over onto itself in a vibration that seems to sink into Dave's bones. A man stands next to the stake. His face is hidden behind a wooden mask divided into two parts. The left is a face contorted in anger. The right side is the same face. Its skin and muscles stripped away to reveal a ghastly skull. "He's not yours," Tracy says, her voice changed. The man lifts the mask, revealing a face that has seen many, many years. Deep lines disappear into a wiry white beard. He grins at Dave, ignoring Tracy. Many of his teeth are framed in gold. His eye crinkles warmly. "You aren't welcome here, old man," Tracy continues. "Leave us with him. Go away." The old man raises his hand, palm out, and the Tracy thing falls silent. She removes the cup from Dave's lips, rises, and walks back to the well. The bucket splashes down to the water again, then retreats. Dave is puzzled by the woman's movement. She moves stiffly, mechanically, like a character we round in a movie. He watches as she retreats backward to the car, then climbs back inside. The old man turns his palm skyward, then rests his other fist on his palm and breaks it open, fingers waggling. A smoke bomb seems to detonate inside of the vehicle, rapidly filling the interior and turning the windows opaque. The Tracy thing bellows, her voice trumpeting loud enough to vibrate the glass. "You did not drink?" the old man asks, approaching Dave. Dave shakes his head. "I wanted to." "Good. That's very good." The old man takes a canteen from his belt, unscrews the lid, and touches it to Dave's lips. "Drink, and then tell me what you see." Dave drinks hungrily. The water is cold and sweet, and as he drinks, something changes. He now stands some distance away, looking at his own withered body, shackled to the stake. His mother bends over him, feeding him water from the well. "I see myself," he says in a clear voice, "drinking her water. It looks wrong. What's wrong with the water?" Other Dave swallows, then twitches violently and goes abruptly slack in Tracy's arms. A dreadful tone sounds somewhere in the sky above. "An EKG," Dave says. Other Dave's body bucks as somewhere other than here a voice rings out. "Clear!" But the efforts are in vain. Other Dave doesn't move. "I see death." Abruptly, Dave is back on the ground, looking into the old man's eyes. There's a momentary sense of dislocation, a cosmic horror of losing his identity entirely, and then it dissipates. "You are fine," the old man assures him. "You saw what almost was." "I died," Dave rasps, trapped once again in his ruined body. "Long has the elephant deceived you," the old man says. "You know of what I speak." Dave has never forgotten his nightmares, not a single one. How many times had his mother come to him in a dream? How many times had the elephant burst through her skin like she was only a puppet? "All your life the elephant has walked beside you, David. You have been its doorway, but you see through it. You have never given in." "What?" Dave begins, but he can't manage another word. "What does it want?" "What all great evil wants," the old man says, understanding Dave perfectly. "To devour the world." I remember those words. You came to me once, long ago. The dream people. There were others. There are many of us. The old man offers Dave another sip from the canteen. When Dave has finished, the man spills the remaining water into the dirt. "What do you see?" Dave struggles to turn on his side and looks at the puddle. Only water, he thinks. Just water. "Look closely, David." Something moves in the water. A shadow. "Open your eyes and see." The old man places his hand on either side of Dave's face and stretches his eyes wide. Abruptly, Dave is not looking at a puddle, but a vast ocean. The shadow beneath the surface is enormous, racing through the water at great speed. It breaches, geysering the sky. A whale. "Good." The old man releases Dave. "Listen closely, David. Are you listening?" "I'm listening." "Aristera, David. Follow the whale to me." Chapter 9, Part 4. Dave rockets upright, gasping. Space! Give him space! His heart thunders in his chest. He touches his lips, his cheeks, then looks down and sees the large needle jutting out of his thigh. That, shouldn't be there, he says, and falls backward onto the bed, gulping lungfuls of air. Linda removes the needle and slings it across the room. Dave, she says, I need you to look at me. She snaps her fingers in front of his face. Follow my fingers. You see my fingers? There are 12 fingers. But as he watches, they resolve into fewer and fewer. Fingers, he repeats. I see fingers. Man, you fucker, Mateo says, clutching fistfuls of his hair. You wouldn't fucking wake up. Dave, Linda says, her face vibrating in his line of sight. You've had an adrenaline injection. Your heart's racing right now, but it'll normalize in a few moments. You're okay. You understand? You wouldn't wake up, Katie echoes. Her face is flushed, her eyes leaking. Asshole! Mateo brings water. Can I give him... He asks Linda, who nods. Here you go, man. Just drink. Oh, hold on. Dave knocks the cup away. Water splashes across the room. Loco, motherfucker, Mateo cries. The fuck is wrong with you? I really thought your friends were going to murder me, Linda says. You just wouldn't come out of it. Dave nods, twitching from the shot. Listen, I need my phone. Your phone? Katie says disbelievingly. You nearly fucking died and you want your goddamn phone? Mateo hands Dave his phone. Text the CNC. Tell them you solved this shit. CDC, Dave corrects absently, locating a maps app. I think he came back crazy, Mateo says, watching as Dave's fingers fly over the map, pinching and zooming and panning. Dave, Linda says, you need rest. Rest is the last thing any of us need right now, Dave says. We don't have time. You just died, Katie bellows. Dave looks up. But I didn't. I'm sorry it was scary. It was fucking terrifying for me too, okay? But I'm here. I'm okay. And we have to go. We have to go right now. Katie blinks at him. Did he just say, go? Mateo asks. Holy shit, Dave says, and stops scanning the phone. It's fucking real. Mateo elbows Linda. Yo, shine a flashlight in his eyes. Make sure he's actually confident. Cognizant, Linda corrects. Dave, what do you mean? Look, Dave says, sliding off the bed and onto jittery legs. We have a very long way to go. We're tired already. We need to move now, so can you all please just get your things and just... We're not going anywhere until you apologize, Katie says bitterly. I can't fucking stand Katie in this book. She'd be pissing me off. Like, if someone's telling you, like, hey, we really need to go, get your shit and go, and he can explain it on the way. The fuck do you mean, not until you apologize? The fuck? Whatever. Dave pulls the last electrode free. What? Katie breaks down. You promised you wouldn't leave me. You almost broke your promise. Ugh, God damn it, Dave says softly, and takes her by the shoulders. Her arms hang limply. She sobs openly as he wraps his arms around her. Honey, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere else without you. I'm here. Where the hell do you think we're going? Mateo asks. Mateo asks. Still holding Katie, Dave passes Mateo his phone. On the screen is a satellite view of a scrubby island. Aristera, Mateo reads. Where the fuck is that? Linda takes the phone and zooms out, searching for context. The island grows smaller and smaller. A label appears. The Mediterranean Sea, she says. It's just south of Greece. Is he okay? Mateo asks. This is crazy talk. Look at this guy. Dave, there's fucking gray in your hair. And there are wrinkles around your eyes that weren't there before. He's dehydrated, Linda says. Maybe even severely so. She gives the phone back to Dave, then says, let's get you back into the bed. I'm running a rehydration line. No argument. Chapter 9, Part 5. Dave requests the story of his dream, Dave recounts the story of his dream as Linda pumps him full of fluids. The shock of the adrenaline wears off, but he finds it difficult to sit still. The old man in the dream still feels very real to him. Sitting still is the last thing he should be doing right now. Dream people, Mateo says dubious. With war masks and whale buddies? Yes, and yes, Dave says. They're trying to warn us. They've been trying to warn me for a long time, apparently. Katie shoots a look at Linda, who puts her hands up and says, Hey, I just work here. 2 days ago, I'd have told you the craziest thing I ever saw was Steven Tyler riding one of those coin-operated horses outside of Ralph's. I still swear it was him. Okay, Katie says. If this is real, a big if, Dave, then what does this old guy want? Why you? I don't know how to explain this, Dave says. Try, Katie says. Remember? Honesty and trust? Okay, but don't have me committed when I tell you this. He looks right at Linda, who says, Roger that. I kind of want to hear this for what it's worth. I keep thinking about what the old man said about this elephant, Dave says. How it's been after me my whole life. And I'm thinking, well, what if this epidemic isn't an epidemic at all? Not a virus, Linda says? Then what? An attack, Dave says, wincing a little as he says the words out loud. An attack, Mateo repeats. In our dreams. Basically, yeah. The old man called it a great evil. He said it wanted to... Dave trails off. Dave, Katie prods. He said it wanted to devour the world, okay? Dave finishes. It's bonkers, I know, trust me, but I believed him. It's like Lovecraft, Linda muses. When they all turn to her, questions in their eyes, she explains. I had an uncle who was really into cosmic horror kind of shit. Lovecraft's the race's granddaddy of that sort of story. He wrote about these surreal, unknowable gods so far beyond human experience that even looking at one could short-circuit a person's brain. What she said, Dave says, pointing. Okay, but I don't get the island thing, Mateo says. If people die falling asleep, I mean, that's universal. It's antagonistic of where we happen to be. Antagonistic? Katie repeats, confused. Hi, Wind. Welcome in. Soothe me to sleep, you sweet, sweet psychotic Time Lord. I will. He means agnostic, Dave says. Look, none of us have any better ideas, right? Katie shakes her head. I have questions, not ideas. Like, how are we supposed to find a fucking whale? And how do we get from Santa Mira to goddamn Greece? With a shrug, Dave turns to Mateo and smiles. Linda and Katie follow his gaze, questions in their eyes. Suddenly uncomfortable, Mateo says, Yo, what? Chapter 9, Part 6. Nope, no fucking ope. Mateo protests. Do any of you know what RPA stands for? When no one answers, he says, Remotely piloted aircraft. Yo, I flew fucking drones. But you went to flight school, Dave says, unfazed. This lady isn't a doctor, Katie says, glaring at Linda. And look what impersonating one costs. Whoa now, Linda says. I went to basic flight school, bro. I could sail your drone to LA, maybe bomb Dodger Field. Stadium, Dave corrects. Whatever. I can't fly us halfway around the planet. Not to crush your dreams here, Dave, but even if Mateo could do it, none of us have slept in nearly 60 hours. That's a greater degree of impairment than if he drowned a bottle of Jack first. Oh my god. If he drowned a bottle of Jack first and tried to drive home. But put him behind the wheel of a plane and stick, Mateo corrects. See? Dave says, pointing. He knows planes have sticks, not wheels. We're gonna be fine. Katie clears her throat, and everyone turns to look at her. I can't believe I'm the one who's going to say this, she begins. But if we stay here, we're going to die. Flat fact. I can't be the only one tempted by every hospital bed I see, can I? Mateo shuffles his feet and looks at the floor. I'll tell you a secret about me, though, she says. I never could sleep on a plane. She nods toward Mateo. And if he's flying, none of us will. Solid vote of confidence, Mateo says. Yeah, appreciate that. Thanks. The longer we argue about it, the more tired we're going to get, Dave says. I know this is what we have to do. Based on a dream, Mateo says. There's just one problem here, Linda says. Or does one of you secretly own a fucking jet? Chapter 9, Part 7. They spend an hour gathering supplies. A pile of luggage grows in the lobby. Duffel bags filled with medications, survival gear scavenged from lockers and dead bodies, pocket knives, a compass, a security guard's taser. Mateo breaks into the vending machine and loads up a bag with beef jerky, dried fruit, potato chips and chocolate. Katie fills a cooler with bottled water and juice boxes. My car won't hold all this, Mateo says, looking skeptically at their gear. Linda points at an ambulance in the bay beside the ER doors. As they stuff bags into the patient compartment, Dave says, So I've run the numbers, and I have bad news. It's at least a 13-hour flight to get where we're going. Maybe 14 or 15 if the conditions are bad. Katie glances at Mateo. That's a long flight. Can you do it? Yo, don't talk about me like I'm not here, Mateo grumbles. Of course I can't do it. And you think you can find a plane that gets us there? Linda asks. Don't planes have to stop and refuel? I told you, the regional airport is small, but there's a private jet surface with a couple hangars there. They're our best bet, unless we want to drive to the bay and find those Silicon Valley assholes' private planes. Santa Mira Regional it is. Dave hefts the last bag into the back. That's everything. Mateo, Linda says, I think you should. She stops abruptly, then slaps herself with a hard crack. Jesus, Mateo cries. I'm okay, Linda says, cheek glowing red. I almost said you should catch a few winks in the back while we drive to the airport. Yo, you gotta keep your shit together, nurse crazy, Mateo says. Linda appears moved by his concern. I promise, I'm good. Okay then, Mateo says, grinning nervously. Because when I crash, who's gonna CPR us otherwise? Chapter 9, Part 8. Lights flashing, the ambulance carves through back roads and golden hills. Mateo and Dave ride up front, while Katie and Linda are strapped into the paramedic jump seats in the back. I must be really beat, Katie says, eyeing the gurney strapped to the wall, because that looks like a feather bed to me. She yawns, her face splitting open like a cat's, showing all her teeth. She smacks her lips, stretches, and blinks rapidly, rubs her eyes with both fists. Linda unbuckles and pokes her head through the panel connecting the cab to the patient compartment. Linda, Mateo says, I was just about to hit the siren. Dave, Linda says, Katie doesn't look good. Dave cranes his neck, trying to see past her. Should I go back? How much farther? 12 miles, Mateo says. I'm doing 50 so you two don't bounce. Bounce us, Linda says to Dave. Bounce us, Linda says. To Dave. I'm going to hydrate her, see if I can't get her mind working. Don't let her fall asleep, Linda. I'm trusting you. Linda nods, then jerks her head at Mateo. I can't believe you let him drive. Linda retreats through the panel again and finds Katie bent forward, elbows on her knees. Her hair swings free, hiding her face. Katie, Linda says and kicks Katie's foot. Katie's elbow slips off her knee and she lurches forward, then catches herself. I'm fine, she insists. Linda pops the cooler and tosses Katie a box of orange juice. Get some electrolytes in you. Katie peels open the bendy straw, then with some difficulty inserts it into the box. Ugh, she says, forcing herself to swallow. Pulp. Satisfied, Linda closes the cooler again, then watches Katie as they ride in silence. The ambulance picks up speed. The two women rock back and forth in their seats. You know, Katie says finally, Ruth was a sweet woman. Linda doesn't speak, but doesn't look away. I haven't forgotten I'm pissed at you, Katie says, eyes dark. I'm putting it on hold, for the good of the group. But when we get where we're going, I think you and me are going to have words. Linda considers this, then nods. It's a date. There's a sudden shout from the front of the ambulance, and then the brakes lock. The vehicle skids to a violent halt, throwing the gear at Katie and Linda. There was a coyote, Mateo says apologetically. It was a fox, Dave corrects. It was a fox. Guys, don't kill us before Mateo gets a chance to crash us all into the ocean, okay? Linda says, shoving a duffel bag out of her lap. Let's get going, huh? Wait, Dave says. Linda, switch with me. Linda looks at Katie, who glares back at her. Yeah, copy that. Chapter 9, Part 9. Give me 1 minute. I wanted to snooze those ads. Chapter 9, Part 9. I might murder her in her sleep, Katie tells Dave when they're underway again. I mean, I know she'll already be dead. I might murder her again. Keep her talking, Dave thinks. Okay, what's your plan? I'll smother her with an airplane pillow. The ones that look like hemorrhoid pillows. I figured you want to see her eyes when you do it. Yeah, those pillows have those little holes in the middle. Dave grins tiredly. You're such a badass when you want to be. You know it, Katie yawns. The divider slips... Oh my gosh. The divider slides open again, and Linda pokes her head through. Speak of the witch, Katie says. Linda ignores this. We've got a gas problem. What? Dave asks. The light's on, Mateo calls back. I don't know how long it's been on. There was no ding, you know, so it might have been on the whole time and I just missed it. Playing with the siren, Katie mutters. What's the tank at? Dave asks. Below the E, Linda says, and there aren't any gas stations out here. Check the back, bro, Mateo calls again. They'll have a spare gas can. Linda says, hold on, then retreats through the divider and punches Mateo's shoulder. The fuck was, you think they'd carry a flammable fuel where they treat patients in crisis? Linda asks. They carry explosive oxygen, Mateo protests. But Dave interrupts. No, she's right. There's no gas. Just look again, Mateo says. Can you just fucking look again? Otherwise we're hiking 6 or 7 miles when we're already dead tired. Fuck, fine. Dave turns back to search the compartment. He taps Katie's knee. Help me look for... He stops short. Katie's head is slumped against the wall. Shit! Katie! Linda! Katie! Shake her! Linda advises, peeking through the panel. Dave grabs Katie's shoulder and rocks her back and forth. Not working, Linda! He brushes Katie's hair out of her face and taps her cheeks lightly at first, then harder. Fuck! Dave! Linda's out of her seat now, one arm through the panel. She points. Blue bag, Dave. Get the blue... Where? Dave throws himself onto the floor and shoves bags around. None of these are blue. In the black duffel, Linda instructs. There's a blue bag. Dave frantically digs through the bags. There are 3 fucking black duffels. The one with the meds. Which one is that? Yellow piping. Dave spots the yellow rim duffel and yanks it open. Fritos, Grandma's Best Cookies. Not fucking here. That one, Linda orders, pointing at the duffel with a red tag on the zipper. Dave tears it open, and among the pill bottles and baggies of bandages and tape, spies a blue bag with a white drawstring. Got it. Okay, get the ammonia bottle first, Linda says. Small and clear, you see it? There are several bottles in the bag, but fate favors Dave. Right on top is a clear bottle with a white label. In large black letters, it reads ammonia and warning toxic. Got it, he yells back. Put it under her nose, Linda directs. To Mateo, don't you fucking hit any bumps right now. Dave unscrews the cap and holds the bottle under Katie's nostrils. It isn't working. What do I do? His voice breaks. Katie! Katie! Dave, Linda says, suddenly very calm. In the bag, there's a hard plastic case with a red cross on it. Get it. Dave plunges back into the bag, throwing its contents around wildly. There's a hard plastic case inside, but when he cracks it open, it contains only basic first aid paraphernalia. It's not here. What am I looking for? Linda turns to Mateo. The emergency kit, she says, voice tight. Hard white case with a red cross on it. Where'd you put it? I packed the fucking pretzels, Mateo complains. You're the fucking doctor who packed the... What the fuck do I do? Dave cries out. A bottle of modafinil rolls around the patient compartment, scattering blue capsules everywhere. Shit, of course, Linda says. We're in a fucking ambulance. Dave! She snaps her fingers until he returns. She points at a wall behind Katie. Look over there. You should see a metal box bolted to the wall. I see it, he says, throwing the latch open. Inside, there's a pair of injectors. What do I do? Tell me what... It's like an EpiPen, Linda instructs. Just hit her thigh and push. You'll hear a click. You gotta get to bare skin, though. Won't work through her jeans. I'm sorry, honey, Dave mutters, then clamps the injector in his teeth. He slides a finger through one of the fashionably threadbare patches of Katie's jeans, then rips a large hole, revealing her pale thigh. Now, Dave, now! Linda yells. Dave holds his breath and slams the injector down. It clicks. Nothing happens. Katie, Dave pleads. No, baby, you gotta wake up. Come on, honey, open your eyes, open them. Come on, Mateo says, eyeing the gas needle. Dave, Linda says, slap her like you mean it. Right now, Dave. Grimacing, Dave pulls Katie's hair back and strikes her cheek. To his surprise and relief, she stiffens, and then she sucks in a loud, desperate breath. Hold her, Dave. She's panicking. Katie's eyes dart wildly about. Dave wraps his arms around her tightly. He begins to sob. Katie jerks stiffly in his arms. You're okay. You're okay, Dave says, his shoulders shaking. He leans back and grips Katie's face as she gasps for air. Sweetie, look at me. Look at me right here. Good, good. There you go. Hi, baby. You're okay. You're okay. You're safe. Katie nods, her panic subsiding. Then her eyes widen, and she jerks free and vomits. She better not puke on my pretzels, Mateo calls back. She's okay, Linda assures Dave. Better to throw up than sleep right. She'll be all right. Dave dabs at Katie's lips with his shirt, then kisses her forehead. Jesus Christ, he breathes. You scared me so bad. The ambulance seems to hiccup, and Katie looks past Dave. Are we coasting? She asks. Are we there? Chapter 9, Part 10. 2 miles, Mateo says hopefully. We can all do 2 miles, right? Do we have a choice? Linda asks. I can see the tower, at least, Dave offers. It's not as far as it looks. Mateo leads them, wearing one of the backpacks and carrying 2 duffels. Linda carries another backpack on one shoulder, and with her free arm helps Dave steer the gurney, which they've loaded with the remaining gear. Katie walks beside Dave, clinging to his hand. You can sit on the gurney, Dave says. We'll push you. But Katie shakes her head. The walk will keep me awake, she says. I'm pretty amped right now. My fucking leg hurts. My face, too. Jesus, you're stronger than I thought. I'm sorry, Dave says. Never apologize for saving someone's life, Linda says. My 2 cents? You just preserve their place on this mortal coil, you know? They can live without a limb or 2. She looks meaningfully at Katie. You okay? Fine, Katie mutters. I'm just saying you gotta keep your strength up if you're gonna smother me with one of those little donut pillows, Linda says. Despite herself, Katie grins. Just you wait. I'm counting on it. They trudge in silence, at least until Mateo begins humming a familiar tune. After a few bars, he starts singing. Jetsons meet the Jetsons. I don't know this song, by the way, so... But it's like, Jetsons meet the Jetsons. They're the Montessori family. Oh, wait, it's the Jetsons. I don't forget. I never watched it, so I don't... But I know what it's from. Katie bursts out laughing, and Linda joins her. What? Mateo asks. Nothing, Dave says. Keep going, man. I like it. He prompts him. They're the Montessori family. From the town of Bedrock, Mateo continues, la 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 mystery. I don't know the song, so. And that was the end of chapter 9. Whew, that was a long one. How long is this next chapter? Oh, not too long. But yeah, okay, so Katie almost dies. And, well, actually, both of Katie and Dave almost died. But then they woke up. And then now they're on their way to the airport because they're going to fly to an island that the Dream People told Dave to go to. Which I feel like it could be a trap, but also I'm not sure because if the Dream People are with the whale, then maybe they're good because it seems like the elephant is the bad guy. So, but I mean, they could do like a switcheroo and it's the elephant's the good guy and the whale is the bad guy. But so far, it seems to be the elephant's the bad guy. Also, I'm going to take a sip of my tea real quick. It's gotten a little cold. It's so unfortunate. It still tastes good, though. Tasty. All right. The next chapter, 2 Truths and a Lie, which is chapter 10. Chapter 10, part 1. The man in the back seat smells like vinegar and potting soil, Eli thinks. Vinegar and potting soil, and maybe Jen. Jen smells like pine needles, doesn't it? Or maybe the man's just been planting evergreens, watering their roots with vinegar. It all makes sense. Millie seems completely unflapped by the presence of the stranger in her car, Eli notices, except that might not be true. Her mouth twitches, sort of pulls to the right a little, like she's doing her best to cover up an active seizure. This worries him. It isn't like he knows this woman. Not long ago, he was fine. He could have blogged his way through the end of the world. Future civilizations would have studied his words, seen the apocalypse through his personal lens. But now he's hitched to this half-maniac, narcoleptic knowledge worker, who just picked up the Vinegar Man. Chapter 10, Part 2. 7 miles east of Chicopee, they see the first vehicle. Millie is a little dismayed, if she's honest. The ghostly, empty lanes have been a traveler's dream. All of Interstate 90 available to her 4 wheels. It's like the whole world decided not to go to work today, Eli had said as they left Boston and its empty streets behind. That's exactly how it seemed to Millie, too. As they'd moved west, they'd seen intersections with lights that flickered from red to green to red again, guiding invisible vehicles to their destinations. Fast food restaurants, windows still dark. And now this bus. A tour bus, she notices as they approach. It stopped in the fast lane, flashers blinking. Don't stop, the hitchhiker warns. But Millie slows the car, and they all crane their necks up at the windows. It's a full bus, judging from all the heads leaning on the glass. Are they all asleep? Eli asks. Dead, the hitchhiker corrects. But how can you? They're dead, kid. I'm gonna check on the driver, Millie says and stops the car. She sets the brake, then jumps out and trots over to the sealed accordion door. Eli watches as she cups her head and presses her face to the glass, then just as quickly leaps back a step. She returns to the car and says, uh, um, she's dead too, the hitchhiker says. Not the same, Millie says. Her fingers tremble as she mimes a gunshot. A gunshot. Not the same. Maybe I should drive, the hitchhiker offers. This seems to snap Millie out of her shock. No, she says. I've got it. I'm good. I've got it. They start westward again. Chapter 9, Part 3. The Berkshire Botanical, Eli says, watching the sign float past. If this were any other day, we wouldn't be here, Millie says. Her mood has darkened since Chicopee. Her mouth twitches frequently now. She's got a point, kid, the hitchhiker says. What's your name? Eli asks. Since we're all riding together, I figure we should be on a first-name basis. Chudot, the man says. Chudot? Millie asks, glancing at the rear view. Chudot Runk Chudot. You're serious? Eli asks. That's the most made-up name I've ever heard. The hitchhiker shrugs. Every name is made up. Fine. Where are you going, Mr. Chudot? Eli asks. Where are you going? Chudot returns. This way, Millie says. At least for now. West, though. West is good. The hitchhiker leans forward, and a strange scent wafts into the front seat. You two ever heard of a place called Synogen? Farmer Bros, Millie says at the same time Eli says drug company. Chudot's eyebrows go up. You two know your stuff. He looks from the rearview mirror to Eli. In fact, you're both alive and kicking right now, which means insomnia? Millie and Eli exchange a glance. Say what? Millie asks. I've been on the road a while now, Chudot says. Not always alone. Last couple weeks I was with this old Marine buddy of mine. What was his name? Millie asks. Does it matter? I just want to know if everyone in your circle uses assumed names. Crinkle, the hitchhiker answers. Pomp Crinkle. Jesus, you're the worst at making up names. Names are just things you call people. Point is, Chudot continues, Pomp was a bit of a conspiracy theorist. Lots of vets are, you know. Every night we'd be camping out. He'd listen to this radio show late into the night. Under the Moonglow with Arthur Scrim, Millie suggests. Chudot snaps his fingers. That's the one. Whack job radio. My mom listened to it all the time. I mean, I've heard it's crazy talk, Chudot corrects. It's all right. My mom was legit crazy. Go on, Eli says. Chudot hesitates, then nods. Pomp got all riled up one night while he was listening. There was a guy on the show talking about how the army loaded him up with some experimental drug. What kind of drug? Eli half turns in his seat. Captain America stuff? No super soldier thing. This was an anti-sleep drug. They wouldn't let him sleep? Millie snorts. Soldiers who don't need to sleep are valuable instruments. But they'd be tired, Eli points out. Tired people make real mistakes. He nods at the steering wheel. Especially when driving. No, she's right, Chudot says. That's what the army guy was going on about. How the army was working with a drug company to make this pill a soldier could take that would keep them alert and high performing for long stretches of time. Synogen, Millie says. At the same time, Eli asks, how long are we talking? 3 days minimum, supposedly. Sometimes longer. And your friend, they did this to him? Eli says. That's the impression I got, but I didn't ask explicitly. That little sleep really fucks with a person's brain, Millie says. Believe me. Oh, yeah? My mom never slept. I mean, she did, but not really. She was already manic, but the lack of sleep, weaponized her. I did not have a good childhood, let's just say. Eli says, boy, I hear that. You have crazy parents too? Millie asks. No, my parents are... Eli trails off. They died, he says in a small voice. I was only 8. Chudot says, my old man fucked the neighbor lady and my mom went to jail because she tried to crack a skull with a Suburban. Jesus, Millie says. What happened with your mom? Chudot asks. My mom did some crazy shit before I was born, Millie offers. I don't know exactly what, but she spent my childhood thinking the government was after her. She kept us moving. I can't tell you how many places we abandoned in the middle of the night. 7, 12. By the time I was 18, I'd gone to 25 different schools. Like a military kid, Chudot says. Millie nods. But worse. My parents were hit by a drunk driver, Eli says. I was in the back seat. Chudot is quiet for a long moment, then says, The kid wins it. Eli looks stricken. I didn't mean... It's cool, Millie says. That's pretty sad shit. Is that how... Eli looks down at his inoperable legs. That's how. They drive in silence for the next few miles, the sun tethered to the car by an invisible string. Eerie, isn't it? Millie finally says, breaking the quiet. It's like the whole world never woke up. That's what I was going to say, Chudot says. It's a sleep thing. That's why I figured you for a couple of insomniacs. What do you mean? Eli asks. I mean I was up all night, Chudot says. I don't sleep much. Haven't really since my tours. I can thank the Navy for that. So whatever happened, it didn't happen to me. You two, you're still moving around, so it didn't happen to you. Did you two sleep last night? Millie looks at Eli. What? Eli asks. You read my blog, you already know. She glances in the rear view. No sleep. That's what I'm saying. What happened to your friend? Pomp crinkle, Eli says. Chudot sinks back into the seat. I went for a walk this morning. Tried to scrounge up some food. Found a rest stop with free coffee and donuts. Carried it back to our tents. Pomp was stiff as a board. He sighs. Government wouldn't let him sleep. Then when his time's done, he doesn't get to wake up. It's a cruel fucking world. You're telling me, Eli says. Millie studies the hitchhiker in the mirror. So, am I right in thinking you're heading to Synagin? Chudot nods. If sleep's how everyone else died, then I don't want to sleep, he says. Life just got interesting. I could walk into any supermarket right now and eat like a king. That's not how things usually go for me. Where's Synagin? Eli asks. California, Chudot says. Palo Alto. You two want to come with? Chapter 10, Part 4. Do you know where we're going? Eli asks. I don't need to, Millie answers. Not really. It's raining and she doesn't run the windshield wipers frequently, and they both watch as the water runs uphill on the glass. I don't know how to get to Palo Alto. How do you? I don't. Are we going the right? Millie points at a highway sign. Interstate 90, she reads to Eli. West. So you're just going to follow the signs? If there's anything the government managed to get right in this country, Millie says, mouth turned down, it's the goddamn interstate highway system. You just point your car in the right direction and follow all the labels that say that direction back to you. Okay, sure, but there's a decent chance this one winds up in Washington State, not California, Eli says. You have to consider the y-axis, too. Oh, piss off with the axes. Axes, she mimics. Then she reads Eli's face. Sorry, I'm not used to people like this. It's okay. Millie glances in the rear view and sees Chudot, forehead pressed to the passenger window, watching the scenery. If anyone will know how to get to Palo Alto, it's our resident thumb walker, right, Mr. Chudot? The hitchhiker glances up at the mirror. West, you got it. For a while, they drive in silence, and Eli registers all the sounds of Millie's vehicle. The glove box vibrates, the latch emitting an irregular, offbeat clicking that won't go away. Somewhere there's a bad seal, and wind whistles at a dog's frequency through a seam. The engine in particular is maddening, the RPM throbbing at such a pitch that he thinks the car might explode. Aren't you supposed to shift? He asks Millie, who shakes her head. Fifth gear's bad, stalls the car every time. So we have to listen to that the whole way? You'll get used to it. It's like needing to sneeze and not being able to. I usually put some music on, she says, indicating the stereo. You can DJ if you want. Eli slips the old MP3 device out of his pocket. I don't suppose you have Bluetooth or an adapter? Millie glances at the device. Jesus Christ, kid. You're a walking museum. What is that, 20 years old? I don't know. Can you play it? Well, no, I don't have every old cable known to humankind in this vehicle, Millie says. But if it's that important, maybe we can find a Radio Shack or something. Okay. It's that important? It's the most important thing I own. Millie chews on this a moment. The highway hisses beneath the tires, which she hasn't replaced since the kid's MP3 player was manufactured. Let's play a game, she says. We've got a long way to go, and according to that guy, she thumbs at the back seat where Chudot either ignores her or doesn't notice her talking about him, we can't sleep. What kind of game? You have a job? She asks. When Eli shakes his head, she says, Smart kid. Don't ever get one. I don't need one. Why? Are you independently wealthy or something? Eli pats his non-functioning legs. More or less. Millie decides to table that question too. All right, well, I have a job. A terrible one. You can take that for granted because they're all terrible, okay? Humans could have spent their whole existence in a hammock eating fresh peaches, but no, we had to invent mortgages and health insurance. I guess that's true. And icebreakers. At some point in human history, someone invented the lowest of lows, the workplace icebreaker. What's a workplace icebreaker? It's a torture device, Millie grouses. Like, two truths and one lie. That's an icebreaker. Or 10 things in common. Or a scavenger hunt. Have you ever? All those bullshit things. I don't know any of these, except the scavenger hunts. He's heard of the scavenger hunt, Chewie, Millie says over her shoulder to the hitchhiker. Okay, well, my least favorite of these is two truths and a lie. How's it work? Just like it sounds, doofus. I tell you 3 things about myself, and you have to guess which thing isn't true. I don't know you well enough to... That's the point. I thought you said these things were terrible. Yes, well, an icebreaker's better than falling asleep in Cleveland, wouldn't you agree? I guess so. Okay, I'll start. Millie smooths her hair, then cracks her knuckles dramatically. I never had my own bed until I moved out of the house. My mother was on the run from the FBI, and I set fire to an apartment building when I was 6. Eli blinks rapidly. You did? Game, stupid. Guess. Oh, right. Geez. This is sort of hard. One of these is a lie? Only one? Only one. You didn't have your own bed, Eli says. That's true. True. Wow, that's terrible. Where did you... He stops, contemplating the other statements. Either one of those could have resulted in you not having a bed. Either one of those could have resulted in you not having a bed. Are these all related? I can't tell you that. On the run from the FBI. That's lie, which makes the apartment fire truth. God, how did that happen? Sorry, bud. Millie makes a buzzer noise with her mouth. That's incorrect. Your mother was on the run from the FBI? Millie nods. Never had a never had a bed because we never stayed in one place more than a few months. So you didn't burn a building down? No, though I did start a grease fire by mistake. I was trying to make breakfast for my mom. I was 6. That part was true. And the fire was true, but it didn't take down the whole building. Just our kitchen and all the ceiling. Holy shit, is this game always so bleak? The lies that Pocket likes... Fuck you, Ent. Millie laughs. It takes on the personality of the players, mostly, she says. Usually, though, it's stuff like I had breakfast with Dave Letterman, or my grandpa owned a glass-bottom boat, or I once rode a bicycle 6,000 miles. All low-key show-off stuff. Why was your mother on the run from the FBI? Millie shrugs. I mean, it's not like... it's not like there were FBI agents kicking the door down, she says. Mama was always pretty paranoid about that, so she kept us moving. She knew if they ever got close enough to kick doors, she'd fucked up. But what did she do? She was a patriot, Millie says. At least that's what she thought she was. She was part of one of those activist groups that did stuff like stage sit-ins at government buildings or block freeways with their bodies. Okay, but the group blew up 3 buildings, Millie says, matter-of-factly. She told me they saw this movie where a guy blew up banks, destroying all the debt for, farms and homes and stuff. The guy's crimes basically changed the world for a whole bunch of ordinary people stuck in a system that never let them get ahead. She blew up a building because she saw a movie? It was a bad, bad movie, too, Millie says. It took me a long time to track it down. She never would tell me anything more about it. Wisdom, 1986. Emilio Estevez, Demi Moore. Emilio, he decided he's got no future. He's an ex-con. So he decides to start robbing banks. Except instead of taking money, he destroys all the mortgage records. And then his girlfriend comes along for the ride. And they're like a bad rehash of Bonnie and Clyde, you know? Except instead of taking money, they're saving poor farmers. That does sound bad. So Mom and her buddies decided to do something like that. They made homemade explosives, broke into these banks in Kansas and Nebraska, and poof, blew them up. To save the farmers. That's what she always said. Did it work? Millie shrugs. There's no way to know, but since banks have computers, probably not. Plus, they killed 2 people. Oh no. Both of them were cleaning crew. I looked it up when I was old enough. One of them was a 58-year-old, Veronica Hernando, and she just started working at the bank 2 months before. The other was 19 and working nights to cover college by day. Millie nods. Yep, Mom and her friends all split up, and off they went. I wasn't even a year old. I grew up in suitcases. I'm sorry. Jesus, your face, Millie says, and ruffled Eli's hair. I turned out okay, didn't I? What about your mom? Millie's face darkens. Well, we won't go there. She changes lanes to avoid an 18-wheeler half on the shoulder, blinking triangle signs scattered around it. Anyway, it's your turn. 2 true things, 1 fucking dirty lie. Eli watched as a darkened Dunkin' Donuts slides by. Maybe later, he says. I don't think I can follow that. Chapter 10, Part 5. The road unspools in front of them like a map of their punishment. We couldn't have thought of something better to do, Eli muses. All this driving's only going to make us tireder. More tired, Millie corrects. We use proper, the Queen's English in this car. Are you sure we can't sleep? Eli asked Chudot, not turning around. There's no answer from the back seat. I mean, we don't have proof of anything, Eli continues. Just your word that something weird's going on and we shouldn't... Fucking Christ, Millie says. What? He's dead. What? Eli exclaims. He's fucking dead. He could be asleep. I can't see him. He's asleep, that's all. Eli's voice pitches upward nervously. That's it, just asleep. Yes, well, if he's right about sleep, then he's fucking dead, Eli, Millie says. There's a dead stranger in my back seat. You were the one who stopped for a hitch. Well, I didn't expect him to die on us, now did I? He didn't die on me, he died on you, Eli insists. That's not my fault, it's your fault. Oh, so fuck me for being a neighborly, right? Sweat beads around Millie's hairline, then trickles down her temple. You don't strike me as the neighborly type exactly, Eli counters. I came to get you, you little shit, Millie retorts. Don't give me guff about being neighbor. Pull over, Eli says, his voice taut. Please, right now. Millie, oh my god. Millie swings the car to the side of the road and hits the brakes. Eli throws open the passenger door as the dead hitchhiker... Oh, good for you, Lemus. Eli throws open the passenger door as the dead hitchhiker jolts forward, then is snapped back into place by his seatbelt. Don't vomit on my... Millie starts and says, oh, fuck, man, and lets herself out of the car. She dashes around the vehicle, then helps Eli with the seatbelt latch, then bends him forward and smooths his floppy hair away from his forehead. Eli throws up on Millie's shoes. I put on his pants. Jesus Christ. I'm sorry, he gasps, then retches. Nothing more comes up. It's fine. You're okay. You're okay. Clouds tighten into knots overhead, and the light shifts. It's going to rain, Millie says. Gonna hit those Midwestern storms. They're the worst. She absently strokes Eli's hair while he coughs, then says, You okay? You still aren't neighborly, Eli says, looking up at her with watery eyes. Motherly, though. I didn't expect that. Unexpectedly, Millie's eyes fill. Nuh-uh. How are we supposed to do this? It's already too hard. Snap into the point you go with. Oh my gosh. Where was I? Oh shit. I don't know, she concedes, wiping her eyes. We just have to. It begins to rain. Chapter 10, Part 6. The sky darkens as they drive on, and the sun leaks out of view. An invisible rain hammers on the car like stones. They pass a sign that says Cleveland, 85. And Eli says, How are we on gas? Oh, shit. Millie says, Gas. She glances at the dashboard. What's half of a quarter? An eighth. Well, we've got less than that. We'll find a station before Cleveland, right? You ask me that like I should know, Millie says. It's a Honda, right? Hondas get good gas mileage. Yeah, new Hondas. In case you hadn't noticed, this Honda is not new. The rain forms a skin over the highway, and the car gently hydroplanes. The dead man in the back seat thumps hard against the window. Millie steers against the slide and regains control, and Eli looks at her nervously. Don't worry, she says. I suck at a lot of things, but I can drive really well. I'm not worried about that, Eli says. What do we do with him? What do you think we should? I think we put him out at the gas station, Eli says hurriedly. It's creeping me out, but I feel bad. I picked him up, Millie says. I feel, I don't know, an obligation or something. But we have to do something with him. He'll start to smell. Eli wrinkles his nose. When he starts decaying. Now you're gonna make me puke. I'm serious. I've seen cop shows. The sodium lights on the highway shoulder turn smeary in Millie's vision, then begin to streak. She rubs her eyes and stifles a yawn. I know about rotten bodies. And I don't have any Vicks to put under our noses, Eli says. So we agree? We put him out at the... Eli stops, then squints. You okay, Millie? Millie shakes her head briskly. The rain downshifts into slow motion. Eli, she says, voice suddenly thick. Do you see that? See what? Eli asks. Hey, you don't look too... The sky flashes red and blue, and then from nowhere a heavy black cord thumps into the Honda's hood. A split second later, a couple of heavy tactical boots slam down, permanently denting the metal. Jacketed in Kevlar, glaring at her through ballistic goggles, a man shouts her name. All across the highway, more federal agents descend on ropes, and Millie shrieks and spins the wheel. And Eli braces himself and cries out. And then there's a terrible crunch, and another, and then Eli, bleeding, is slapping Millie's face, yelling at her not to sleep. Don't sleep. Vicks is what, Vicks, like the Vicks vapor rub. You put it under your nose to block smells, or maybe you don't. Also, that was the end of chapter 10, by the way. That was the end of chapter 10. So we got more of Millie and Eli's perspective. The guy that they picked up, the hitchhiker, died. Quick recap. So, let's see. Last chapter we left off, Dave decided that he was going to go to sleep because they found the triangle on the corpse's brain. And they were like, okay. Well, Dave was like, okay, I recognize that. So if I go to sleep, maybe I can figure out what's happening. So Dave gets put to sleep because they found out that people are dying in their dreams, not right when they fall asleep. So they're like, okay, we'll pull Dave out of his sleep right before he goes into a dream. And so Dave goes into his sleep, and he sees a bunch of, like, dream things, and he sees an old dude that basically tells him, hey, you have to go to this island to survive. And so Dave wakes up, he gets woken up, and he tells everyone, hey, we have to get on a plane, we have to go to an island. So that's where they're going, is they were on their way to a plane. Katie almost dies, but she doesn't. She wakes up. But they're on their way to get on a plane to get to this island. And then we just read Millie and Eli's perspective. Millie and Eli, why are you killing people in their dreams? I'm not. Anyway, Millie and Eli had picked up a hitchhiker. His name was Chudot. It was a fake name. And he was like telling all these conspiracy theories of how it was Synogen that caused like the sleep thing. And so he was going to Synogen to see if he could find a way to stay awake forever. But anyway, he ends up dying in the seat because he falls asleep, in the car because he falls asleep. And then Millie like has like an episode and crashes the vehicle with Eli in it, and that's where that one just left off, chapter 10. So now we're back in chapter 11. I believe we're back with Dave and the crew. So that was the little one, little recap. Thank goodness I'm a night owl. Yeah, thank goodness. Let me take a sip of my tea. Hold on. Well, in the book, it's not about being a night owl. It's like no matter what time you sleep, whether it's in the day or whether it's at night, and you don't share fruit. No, I don't. It's very good, though. You didn't share your green tea with me, so fuck you, actually. But yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, it's just when you fall asleep and you get into the stage of dreams or REM sleep where you start having dreams, that's when people die. I did this. Or I did. No, you did not. I would do this to stay awake. Of course you would. Torque. My tea is cold now, though. Give me just 1 minute. I've noticed that I have some thingies. Okay. I had some notifications on my phone, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't work or something. You stole my whole jar of tea, ran off, and said mine now. Yeah, I sure fucking did. It's not iced tea. It's breakfast tea, which is like a type of black tea. But I put honey and sugar in it because I like my tea sweet. Because I am Southern, and I like sweet teas. But anyway, we're getting into the next chapter. I'm trying to finish this book before the end of the night. We've got like a bit left, so we're going to try and get through it. I do like black tea. All right. We're gonna carry on. Chapter 11, Part 1. You're not Southern. You think you're Southern. I'm from Florida. I think I'm pretty Southern, but all right. Chapter 11, Part 1. Or Part 1, yes. The air traffic control tower catches the tangerine glow of the sunset, scattering the light on the tarmac below. A windsock snaps in the breeze, the only sound that reaches their ears. This is creepy, Katie says, taking the abandoned seam. I've never seen this place so lifeless. A security post separates the private air taxi's hangar the private air taxi's hangar from the rest of the compound. Mateo drops his duffels and slips under the gate and into the guard booth. There, reclined in his chair, feet propped on his desk, head pitched forward, is a guard in a brown uniform. Mateo tips the man's hat over his face. Rest in peace, comrade, he says. Sorry to screw up your safety record. Mateo reaches past the corpse and presses the gate button. Dave and Linda push the gurney through as the arm goes up. Katie lingers a moment, studying the little airport terminal across the runways. How many people do you think are in there right now? She asks. How many people took a nap waiting for their flight? Don't think about it, Linda advises. The walk did Katie some good, but now the adrenaline has dissipated. She can feel herself pinwheeling toward a crash. Katie, Dave called. Wait, what did you say? You're not Southern. You think you're. I already read that. Do you like me? I would like me. You're just the best, Wind. You're just the best. Katie, Dave calls back. You okay? She snaps back to herself. Fine. With the last look at the terminal, she catches up to the others. I always thought working at an airport would be kind of glamorous, she says. Kind of romantic, you know. I read about I read about this place one time, Linda says. This airport, smaller even than this one, somewhere in Nova Scotia? Newfoundland? I always confuse those two. She yawns, then continues. In the 50s, if you were flying from New York to London, you had to stop at this place to refuel. Sometimes the layovers took hours, even a day or two, so everyone stopped there. This middle-of-no-place airport is where Frank Sinatra took a load off on his way to Europe for a tour. Marilyn was there, even the Queen. Everyone who worked there had amazing stories. There was a gift shop cashier who talked with actual Einstein about actual relativity. A maintenance worker took Castro and his bodyguard sledding nearby. That's pretty romantic, Mateo agrees. Sometimes, Dave says quietly. I used to wonder if the last generation to be alive would know they were the last. He kicks a rock out of the gurney's path. I used to wonder that. I think the universe would have chosen its final hour a little better, Mateo says. Maybe it could have picked a real pilot, for instance. A non-addict, Katie adds. A real doctor, Linda says. A guy with a regular brain, Dave says, tapping his temple. Not whatever's up here. If I only had a brain, Mateo sings. We're just like them, you know, the fellowship. He has to know, right? Linda asks Dave. He really is just that addled, Dave says. Yo, I heard that. Mateo drops his backpack on the gurney. Chapter 11, Part 2. Meet our new best friend, Mateo says, standing at the top of a private jet stairs. The Gulfstream G650. Full bar, sofa, fat-ass leather chairs. This baby carries 8 passengers, 4 crew, and she has a range of 7,000 miles. Is that enough? Linda asks. It's just enough, Mateo strokes the fuselage. You know, I bet the last trip this chica took, she was carrying a bunch of loco influencers to a wellness retreat in Ojai. More like a bloated CEO flying to a 15-minute meeting in Macau. Dave grunts, hefting a duffel onto his shoulder. No, I think I'm right, Mateo says. Seriously, there's a whole box of, vagina eggs in there. Influencer's my ass, Linda complains. She starts climbing the steps behind Dave. 14 hours, Katie moans, and leans on the gurney, which starts to roll away from her. She climbs on top of it and rests her head on one of the duffels. Mateo jogs down the steps. Yo, no napping on this flight, honey. I can't do this, she whispers to him. Her eyes are glassy. I'm not cut out for this. Hey, none of us are, Mateo hooks his thumb in imaginary suspenders. Look at me. I definitely know how to fly this plane. Dave comes down the stairs. Everything okay? Mateo hefts 2 bags and says, Tag, you're it, and disappears into the plane. I can't, Dave, Katie says. I just can't. Listen to me. This place we're going, they're gonna take care of us. There's a bed there with your name on it. I just know it. But right now, we're going to take it minute by minute, right? Just for today, okay? Katie nods tiredly. Just for today. Dave helps her to her feet. I promise you, I won't let you fall asleep on this plane. Linda comes down the steps and collects the last of the bags. Get on fast, she says. Once he starts the engines, I'm not sure he knows how to keep it parked. Dave gives the gurney a mighty shove. It rolls out of the jet's path into the shadows of the hangar. Hey, Katie, he says. She turns around on the steps, eyes red. You know what I want to do for 14 hours? Dance. Dave wiggles his hips. The whole time. Despite her exhaustion, Katie laughs. You can't dance for shit. So, I'm gonna dance with you. You step on my feet when we're on a big dance floor. You'll kill me in a cramped plane. This thing is anything but cramped, Linda says over her shoulder. Dave comes up behind Katie. There's another way to look at this, he says, folding his arms around her waist. You always wanted an exotic vacation. A death plane isn't how I pictured it starting. It's the adventure package. Pay a little extra for that sense of danger. He softens. Look, I'm making the best of a raw deal here. She twists and gives him a watery smile. I have always wanted to see Greece, I guess. Exactly. Big statues of muscly dudes with their junk hanging out. That's everyone's dream vacation. He tips his forehead to meet hers. We'll just hold on a little longer. Together. Okay? She rises onto her toes and kisses him again. Chapter 11, Part 3. Hello, and welcome everyone to Flight 666. Mateo's voice rings out over the cabin speakers as Linda kicks a bag into place. And Dave helps Katie with a stubborn seatbelt. One-way service from Santa Mira, California to the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. Poor taste, Linda calls. We have one hell of a journey in store for you today, Mateo continues. We've got full tanks, we've got a pilot who's, well, practically a zombie. Today we'll be following a course charted in a dream by a goddamn whale. Yes, that's right, you heard me correctly. Our navigator today is a big-ass whale. You heard me, or I just fucking reread that. Big-ass whale, I've named him Jackson. Wrong way, Jackson. Mateo chuckles, churn into a raspy cough. Okay, seriously, homies, buckle your shit up. I only recognize, like, half the switches and dials up here. Katie looks solemnly at Dave. If we die... No Pax, he says, cutting her off. Nope, we're gonna get through this. Maybe don't be so sure about that, Linda says, staring through the window at the wing flaps, which rock wildly up and down. He knows what he's doing, Dave says, shooting Linda a death glare. In the cockpit, Mateo grimaces at Linda's gun digs into his back. As Linda's gun digs into his back, he drops the weapon and ammo on the co-pilot's seat, then places one palm on a hefty binder labeled Flight Operation Manual. Dear God, he says quietly, all the bumper stickers promised you were a good co-pilot. You better not miss work today. Then he grips the yoke. All right, Mateo, just a video game. We're all just pixels. The jet rolls out of the hangar without clipping the walls, then turns right, towards the runway. A win, Mateo thinks as he drags the tip of the wing along the chain-link fence. Oh shit. He's got it, Dave assures Katie, who grips his knee in a deathlock. He's working out the details. Yo, VIPs, Mateo announces. If you'll look to your left, maybe someone can tell me if the wing's still there. Fuck your jokes, Linda roars back. Roger that, Mateo corrects his angle and guides the jet to the runway entrance. For real, y'all, hang on to something. Dave leans against the window and watches as hangars roll by and the runway texture blurs. He can't recall the last time he flew, but surely the pilot then was more competent. His stomach rolls over as the plane reaches speed, and its nose lifts skywards, then drops. The plane bounces twice on the tarmac, then wobbles into the air again. The runway falls away from Dave's window at a sickening angle. Okay, Mateo's shaky voice sounds through the cabin again. That didn't totally suck. He gathers himself, then adopts his pilot's voice again. Our flight time today is, about the length of a brutal nursing shift. Am I right, Linda? We're making good headway with the wind at our backs. Any minute now, I'll set the autopilot and come back for a celebratory champagne. He's kidding, Linda says. Right? Kidding? I think so, Dave says, then pats Katie's hand, which has mercifully relaxed its grip on its knee. We made it, huh? You're not freaked out anymore, I can tell. He trails off, suddenly aware of Katie's head lolling heavily on his shoulder. Hey, he says, lifting his shoulder gently. You okay? Katie's head pitches forward. Shit, Dave cries. Linda! Fuck! Oh fuck! Katie! Wake up, honey! Wake up! Stop shaking her, Linda says, appearing in the aisle beside Katie's seat. She presses 2 fingers to Katie's neck. To Katie's neck. Go to hell, Dave snaps. Where's the adrenaline? I saw you put the spare one in your pocket back there. Dave, Linda warns. We can't give her another one so soon. Give it to her. God damn it, Linda mutters, but she fishes the injector out of her pocket. She can't handle more. Dave snatches it out of her hand, and in one frantic motion plunges it into Katie's thigh. He presses down until it clicks. Something going on back there? Mateo asks. I heard a disturbance. Don't make me notify the air marshals. Dave shakes Katie in her seat, hard enough that her head bounces off the headrest. He slaps her cheek, then again, the crack of it audible over the engine drone. Wake up, he screeches, every cord in his neck straining. Spittle hangs from his lip. You aren't a fucking quitter. Don't fucking quit on me. Dave, Linda says calmly, open your fucking eyes. Dave hits Katie again. Her cheek shows a map of the strike, printed in red. Open your eyes, please, Katie, oh, please. Dave. Linda grips his shoulder firmly. You have to stop, Dave. The plane hits a pocket of turbulence, and Katie lurches forward, limp. Dave catches her in his arms, her hair thick against his face, and begins to weep. And that was the last of chapter 11. So it seems like Katie has died. Whale. She avoided death once and then died on the plane. Just fell asleep. Which is so unfortunate. Oh no. I'll be so honest, I did not really like Katie. So I'm not. I like had a feeling one of them was gonna die, and I was like, Katie seems like she'll be the first to go. So, not too surprised about that. Pocket, you would be the first one dead. Not gonna. I do. I would be. I sleep. Okay. I like simultaneously have a hard time sleeping and a like easy time sleeping because I have a hard time sleeping when I'm like just laying down trying to go to sleep. But if you put me in a car or like if you put me in a plane, I'm out like a fucking light, man. I'm out. I'm gone. This next chapter, chapter 12, is more further dispatches from Earth, meaning it's just gonna be a bunch of people around Earth dying. I'm assuming so. We're gonna get right in there. These chapters always throw me off because it's literally just telling you how like people fall asleep and just die. So, further dispatches from Earth. Chapter 12, part 1. Lily Nelson can hear the party from here, even with all the windows closed. She cups a mug of mulled cider, which her mother has made for as long as Lily can remember, regardless of the season. And steps out onto the deck, into the warm, into the still warm dark. Jesus, I'm like mixing my words. She can't see the party, not with all the trees, but she can see sparklers flickering through their branches. Hear Roman candles popping and sizzling skyward. Any other year, she'd have been there herself, she knows. She wonders how long it takes for a change to settle, for sobriety to become the new backbone of her life, rather than something new that runs parallel to her. A guardrail that might drop away at any moment. Once an alcoholic, always an alcoholic. She's heard time and again at nearly every meeting she's gone to. In the beginning, when she mocked that line, it was Katie who stabilized her. Strange to get such good advice from a girl so much younger, but wisdom doesn't necessarily come with age. Lily's learned that the hard way. She hasn't seen Katie in a while, now that she thinks about it. Tomorrow she'll call her up, buy her breakfast, say thank you for those early days of guidance. The melatonin hasn't quite hit her yet, and she sits on the deck steps and watches as fireworks skitter across the horizon. Fewer and fewer as the hours pass. If her mother were here, and not in the hospital again, they'd sit here together and watch, just as they'd done when Lily was a little girl, when their father was still with them. Getting older, Lily thinks, is a lot like getting sober. The people you knew, that you were close to, fall away from you. As you grow old, they die, they move away, they drift out of touch. When you sober up, a curtain drops between you and the people you ran with before. That curtain's necessary. It's what keeps you alive. But it's also what makes you lonely. Lily watches the fireworks until there are very nearly none at all. Just the odd sputter here and there. I just choked on my spit. Excuse me. The melatonin collides with her like a soft cottony wall. She drains her cider, washes the mug in the sink, and places it in the rack. She brushes her teeth and washes her face, then goes down the dark hall toward the back of the house. Most nights, when she stays over at her mother's place, she sleeps in her old room. But tonight, for some reason, she passes that door and goes inside to Ruth's bedroom. She pulls back the blankets and slides beneath them. She can feel the haze of memories, thick and almost tangible around her. She remembers every night she climbed into this very bed between her parents. Then years later, when her father was gone, how she held her mother as she cried herself to sleep. Now she slides to the center of the bed and pulls herself into a tight ball, missing the warmth of her mother's slight body. A few hours sleep, she tells herself, and then she'll wake up and go to the hospital to be with Ruth. It's funny, she thinks, as sleep overtakes her, just how much she suddenly misses her mom. So I'm assuming Lily is the daughter of Ruth. Well, I did just say that. She's the daughter of Ruth, the one who died in the hospital, the old lady that had the cancer on her spine. Oh, that's so sad. Oh no. And she was thinking of her mom in her last moments. Oh no. I'm looking at how long this chapter is. Oh goddamn, we're like literally almost at the end. Whew, okay, here we go. Chapter 12, Part 2. Brunilla touches Angelito's warm head and tries to stifle a cry. What more is she supposed to do? The baby is not well. There's no one here to help Brunilla, and neither of them has slept in more than a day. Mr. Reyes, in the apartment beside theirs, has hammered on the wall all night long, his sleep stolen away by Angelito's persistent wails, so loud that they raise ghosts. Ghosts like Diego, whom Brunilla sees in the chair in the corner of the bedroom, watching disapprovingly as Brunilla tries everything, fails again and again to soothe their son. So many hours, So many hours, Brunilla thinks. They would all pass so much more easily if she and Angelito could sleep. Just a little sleep. The child's small, soft lips part, and a banshee wail emerges. There is no money for the hospital. Her doctor won't be open for 2 more hours, and there's hardly money for that either. Just a little sleep, baby, please, Brunilla implores. Angelito's fingers tighten around her own, squeezing weakly as if to say, I'm trying, Mama. Brunella's arms ache dully. She has not been able to put the baby down in 3 hours. When she does, Angelito protests loudly, his little voice cracking with the effort. She presses him to her chest now, smooths her palm over his thick black hair. Shush, she says, the only word she has to offer. It does nothing for him. She calls her mother, 40 miles away, but it is early, and her mother does not answer the phone. She tries her sister next, Rosa, who lives a 7-minute taxi drive from here, and Rosa also does not answer. Cradling Angelito delicately, Brunilla nudges the curtain away from the kitchen window. The sun hasn't yet risen, though it's warming the drape of sky against the horizon. The city will wake soon, but for now most of the windows she sees are dark. They catch the last of the starlight and angle it toward the empty streets. Angelito turns uncomfortably in her arms. Brunilla, supporting the child with one hand, soaks a cloth in cold water with the other. She crumples it, squeezing out the excess water, then lays it over her son's forehead, straightening and worrying the edges of it. Angelito blinks up at her, brow furrowed like a little old man's, and for a moment she thinks this is it. This little kindness is the one that will push away the fever, will let them both sleep. But then Angelito coughs, a hard rattle in his tiny throat, and sucks in air as if filling an instrument. A moment later, he screams with every ounce of his power, and Brunilla says, Baby, sweet baby, no, no. Thump, thump on the apartment wall. It's too much. We have to sleep, she whispers. Sleep will make everything better. Brunilla arranges the pillows like a barricade on the bed, then lays Angelito down. Her own body forms the remaining wall, and she nestles him close to her breast. She offers it to him, but he doesn't take it, so she tucks it away, then with her thumb irons away the wrinkles in his forehead. She takes his little earlobe between her fingers, caressing it, hoping that a little touch is all he needs to forget how poorly he feels. Just a little sleep, she says, until the doctor is open. Poggy will be the first. Oh, I don't know why I just reread that again. Until the doctor is open, and then we'll go and she'll help. Brunilla sings low, hoping that the quiet tones will still Angelito's thoughts. I don't know what any of that is. Is this Tagalog? Tagalog? I'm looking at it right now. It's like lyrics from a song, but I'm not even gonna attempt to sing it. We're just gonna skip right past that. The pillow beneath her head, the bed beneath her body, seems to acquire a gravity greater than that of the world around Bernula. She yawns, then continues singing. She strokes Angelito's cheek. She has faith he will be better soon, that he will grow up and not remember this night, and how bad it felt for them both. She loves to imagine him as a young man, his dark liquid eyes filled with care for his mamma. He will sit beside her, perhaps, when she is old and ill, and sing to her the same song. Just for a few minutes, Angelito is quiet, and that is enough. Sleep overtakes Bernila, and her hand falls limp and heavy upon the baby's chest. His cries fill the apartment, and his mother does not wake. Oh no, that's so sad. Oh. That's so horrible. That's so sad. I don't like these chapters. They make them so sad. I'm also not singing it because I don't know. I feel like this language is Tagalog, but I'm not 100% sure, and I'm not about to butcher it. So let me take a sip of my tea. I'm thirsty. Mm, delicious. Okay. Chapter 12, Part 3. He's been floating there since I came on shift. Rodrigo frowns at Annabella. He's a very important guest. He cannot be allowed to just float there. Have I been taking my meds? Yes, Lemos, I have. Thank you. Of course he can. That's why someone like him comes to a place like this, isn't it? Rodrigo shakes his head, then lowers his voice. Do you really think that an ego that big wants to be left alone? Ever? Maybe that is what someone like him says, but believe me, he wants to be noticed. Nona took his drink, Annabelle says. About 20 minutes ago. She bought him a new one. Brought him a new one. I bet my tongue keeps getting, like, tongue-tied. I bet he didn't even acknowledge her, did he? Rodrigo muses. But look, either way, the ice in his glass has melted. It's too warm this morning. Tell Nona to bring him another drink. It's good he has that floppy hat to hide his face, Annabelle observes. But the rest of him... I hope his next movie requires a sunburn look. Maybe it will be a movie like that one about the one... Maybe it will be a movie like that one about the man on the island, with the soccer ball. Rodrigo turns and studies the vacationing actor, who reclines on the inflatable raft in the middle of the resort pool. He looks softer than I would imagine, doesn't he? All the muscles in the movie these days are computers, or steroids, or painted on with makeup. That's not how they do it, Rodrigo says. Is it? Have you seen the makeup videos on YouTube and TikTok? You would not believe what you can do with a little contouring. Nona, Rodrigo says, stopping the bartender as she passes. Would you take the Silken Spy himself a fresh drink? Nona looks toward the pool. He hasn't touched the one I took him last time. Yes, but the ice has melted. You want me to keep pouring the expensive stuff? That's what he started with 4 hours ago. He's been out there for 4 hours? Annabelle asks. Nona nods. Since before the sun came up, even. Just floating? Rodrigo asks. He doesn't swim? Just floating, Nona confirms. I can pour him a new one. It will be his 7th. 7? Annabelle says. What is he drinking? Is that... He drinks Mai Tais, but disguised in a bourbon glass. What kind of rum? Rodrigo asks. Tell me not the... Yes, Nona says. Legacy. Hey! Annabelle exclaims. That's like $400 a bottle. 400? Rodrigo interrupts. You are wildly, wildly mistaken, my dear. Try 27,000. A Mai Tai with that rum? Easily $3,000. Very expensive shit. Nona nods again. So I should keep pouring it? Fuck no. Rodrigo squints at the actor, who hasn't stirred since they began discussing him. Switch to, I don't know, Malibu or something. I don't think he will notice. Did you see his movie with Lucia del Costa? Annabelle asks. They are both con artists. They look rich, but they're not. Not really. And they traveled to this tropical casino, and he does not look like a con artist to me, Nona says. That's a dad bod if I ever saw one. I was just saying. Rodrigo claps his hand. Wasn't I just saying? He was just saying, Annabelle concurs. So, keep serving him? Keep serving him. But don't wake him. How did you get the drink into the cup holder of his raft last time? Rodrigo asks. Or was he floating close to the edge? Nona covers a smile. I had Philip use his long net. He pulled the raft over slowly. Don't worry. Mr. Jong didn't even notice. Oh God, Rodrigo says. I hope to God the man does not wake up if you pull that stunt again. The embarrassment, hauling Li Jong around like a wheelbarrow. Shush, Annabelle hisses. He's awake. No, no, sorry, just a change in the light. A dark look passes over her face. You said he's been out there for 4 hours? When Nona's head bobs, Annabelle says, and he hasn't moved. Nona turned her eyes upward. He must have. But if he did, I can't really recall. She looks at Rodrigo, then back at Annabelle, eyes widening. Wait, you don't. Annabelle says, I read a gossip piece about him. He's on vacation because his wife left him. The novelist, I forgot her name. Doesn't matter, but the story I read said he'd been treated for mental health issues before. You don't think. Rodrigo edges toward the pool, cupping his eyes to block the sun. I think he's breathing, but. I can get Philip to go in and check, Nona suggests. No, no, of course not, Rodrigo says. He's breathing. I'm sure of it. Isn't he? We can't embarrass the man that way. No one will ever come to our hotel again. With that, Rodrigo leaves, and Nona turns to Annabelle and says, I'm not certain at all. Now that I think about it, I don't think I've seen him move at all. Chapter 12, Part 4. 27,000 kilometers per hour. Miroslava has always liked this number. 27,000. It sounds so gloriously fast, and yet when experienced in the context of the International Space Station, fast is so relative. Earth churns below her, offering her a sunrise every 90 minutes. She watches as Russia rotates past, most of it blanketed in heavy white clouds. The sun reflects off the Mediterranean like a mirror, throwing golden ripples against the walls of the observation compartment. 27,000. So fast. She chuckles, remembering the citation she was given for driving her father's Lada Riva 5 kilometers over the limit in her village. Oh my gosh, my tongue is getting tongue-tied. 16 sunrises and sunsets every day. The sunrises are nice, the way the sun peeks over the heavy lid of the earth, light rushing in all directions at once, as if spilled from a glass. But Miroslava prefers the sunsets, the way the sun dwindles to a spiked marble. The planet is almost entirely black in that moment. It's a curvature illuminated by a slender rainbow. And then the rainbow winks out, and then, several minutes later, the glass spills again on the other side of the planet. She sifts through the videos she's captured these past few days, then selects her favorite, a desert region of Africa, its pale sands dotted with the circular crop zones. The geometry of the view delights her. She uploads the photo to Instagram, adding a caption, "Scattered beads on a dirt floor. The whole planet looks so different and interesting from #ISS. She reminds herself to show these photos to Aaron later. He's been on the ISS longer than the rest of them. This is his 4th tour, and he's intent on breaking the record for most consecutive days in space. 319, he told them over dinner the previous night. Just 21 days to tie Kelly's record. Right, Miroslava had added, shaking her head, but you'd need 97 more to tie Polyakov? Later, Aaron had tried to slip his hand into her jumpsuit when she kissed him. She said, offering him only a coy smile. Only record holders. Now she feels bad. She thought he would push, and she would concede, and they'd end up finding a corner away from the others, where they'd happily make out, both winners of their little game. But Aaron had only smiled and said, "Come find me in 22 days," and floated off. 98, she'd called after him, laughing when he flipped her the bird before he disappeared around the corner. 2 likes on her African farmland photo. Strange. There are usually many more people swarming on her photos than this. Miroslava tucks away her phone, then pulls herself from the cupola to Node 3, then Node 1. She spots Hatsu carrying a cargo container away from the JEM and says, "You seen Aaron?" "Sleeping cabin," Hatsu says. "I don't think he's awake." Miroslava gives Hatsu a little 2-finger salute, then drifts past her, through the US Lab module to the Harmony module, where 3 of the sleeping cabins are open and empty. She presses her ear to the quilted door of the fourth and says quietly, "Aaron?" No answer from inside. She checks the log posted beside the cabin and sees that Aaron signed in 11 hours ago. 11? She's never known the man to sleep more than 6 hours at a time. He's always boasting that he doesn't need even that much. "Aaron," she says a little more loudly. She opens the door. Inside, Aaron is in his upright sleep sack, turned away from her. His head is tipped forward a bit, and she can see the touch of a bald spot forming in the midst of his close-cropped brown hair. You feeling okay? She asks. That's crazy, dude. That door was open. Hi, lawyer. Welcome in. You feeling okay? She asks. He doesn't answer, so Miroslava peers up and down the corridor. A mirror is in node 1, but his back is to her. Otherwise, there's no one in sight. Carefully, Miroslava wedges herself into the sleep compartment, jamming herself between Aaron's sleep sack and the array of equipment bolted to the wall behind her. Real romantic, she thinks, ducking to avoid the open laptop just above her head. She touches Aaron's chest through the sack and says, "Wake up, sleepyhead. I feel bad how we left things." Then she touches his face, intending to pepper his stubbly cheeks with kisses, and finds his skin cool and unyielding. Her cry is muffled by the padded walls of the compartment, but when she spills into the corridor, Amir is there, a worried look on his face, asking what's wrong. She can't catch her breath long enough to answer. She raises her legs without thinking, tucking herself into a ball as Amir leans into the compartment. A moment later, he's alerting Christina, the medic, and then Mission Control, and Miroslava tumbles in place, an egg, trying not to cry. In 0G, tears don't fall, they cling to your skin, spreading over you like a membrane. Cry enough in space, you might literally drown in your own sadness. Oh, that's weird to think about. Is that true? Can you actually, drown in your own tears in space? I need to look that up. I want to look that up. Hold on, we're going to look that up. Can you drown in your own tears? Drowning sadness sounds fun. Oh, I'm sure. Hold on. Give me 1 minute. Hold up. Hold on. Can you drown in your own tears in space? What happens if you cry in space? When astronauts cry in space, their tears do not fall like they do on Earth. Instead, they form a ball around the eye and cheek. The phenomenon is due to lack of gravity, which prevents tears from flowing down the face. Instead, the tears pull in the eyes and can cause discomfort or irritation. If not managed, the tears can float around, potentially interfere with vision or cause other issues. There's nothing about drowning. Oh, just kidding. There is. Oh, that's so weird. You can. And your sweat, too. Your sweat can drown you. Trip to spaceship. No, that's so weird that you can drown in your own tears. That's crazy. And your own sweat. That's so crazy, honestly. Okay. Anyway, continuing on. Let me get back to our spot. Hold on, where were we at? Oh, yes. Light breaks through the little window in PMA 2. Another sunrise. Right on schedule. That was the end. Oh, I was going to say that was the end of the chapter. It is not. Chapter 12, Part 5. In Madison, Wisconsin, a daycare worker tries to rouse her 11 charges from their naps and fails. Oh no, I can't. No, we're going to have to skip this part. No, so we're doing further dispatches from Earth. It's those weird Ash chapters where it's like, it just shows you a bunch of people dying type of deal. Where it's like, it just shows you people all around the world, how they're dying in their sleep and not. Yeah. I can't read this next chapter because I can't read this next section, but it's the last section of this chapter. Oh fuck, it's so sad. Okay. In Madison, Wisconsin, a daycare worker tries to rouse her 11 charges from their naps and fails. The little bodies, just 20 minutes before, so overloaded with energy, lie still on their blue floor mats. In Shirakawa, Japan, a young man greets his grandmother for her birthday. Her curtains are always open when he visits, but not today. He throws them wide, then finds her cold and still on her plank mattress. I would have driving behind log truck dream and die. Yeah. In Luxembourg, Martin Faber finishes filling out the performance improvement form, then emails it to Millie, making sure to copy human resources. Well, there's nothing else to be done, he thinks, logging off his work computer. It's all in her hands now. He closes the door to his closet-sized office, then navigates his cramped living room, switching on the television as he goes. A newscaster says something about an emergency, but Martin is not interested in emergencies after the day he's had, so he switches the channel to a reality show. He listens from the kitchen as he unwraps a frozen dinner and slides it into the microwave. Renata is complaining that Lorraine's a snake, trying to take her man. Her man, Lorraine shrieks in a cutaway. He's my man. There's a scuffle, and Martin settles onto the couch with his plastic tray of chicken parmesan. By the time the episode ends, the plastic tray sits empty on his coffee table, and Martin has drifted to sleep in the TV's cold blue light. He dreams, briefly, of personnel forms and bug reports. In Montreal, an impatient driver, anxious to leave a parking garage, discovers the tool booth worker has died. Chicken parm, I love chicken parm too. I like eggplant parm. That one's really good. Discovers the toll booth worker has died, arms crossed, feet propped up, a little television still playing on his lap. In the form of a question, Alex Trebek says as the driver begins to shout for help. 40 miles from Gunnison, Colorado, Jesus fucking Christ, the radio in a fire lookout tower crackles incessantly as the Division of Fire Prevention and Control tries to raise the lookout technician, who swings gently in her hammock, body only just beginning to cool. In Santa Mira, California, Hank Wexler leans on one elbow, staring blankly at the Independence Day celebrations on the ceiling-mounted TV. He yawns so violently that his jaw clicks, and then he yawns again. The bartender switches the lights on, and Hank glances sleepily around to find the bar has already emptied out. Last call was 10 minutes ago, the bartender says, and Hank starts to reply, but his cell phone buzzes. Hold that thought, Hank says, and squints at a text message from the Dax Lab IT folks. Yo, Hank, I'm at work. One of the research servers burned down, but I can't get inside to fix it. This card reader won't work, and there's nobody in the security booth to let me in. Call me ASAP, please. Hank sighs heavily, then looks up at the bartender. This fucking guy wants me to come in. You believe that shit? One more, he says, and then I'll go. Have a little mercy on the working man, huh? The bartender frowns, then turns away and begins mixing. Hank exhales again, then rests his head on the crook of his elbow and watches the TV and the flickering lights. He's asleep before the bartender turns around. Whole towns fall silent. Phone calls and text messages go unanswered. Occupants of jail cells shout for help, their tending guards asleep at their desks just a few meters away. Overnight, flights arrive at their gates, and none of the passengers crowd the aisles, waiting to deplane. All told, nearly 8 billion people sleep and do not wake. Humanity's numbers are, in the span of 24 hours, devastated. Here and there around the world, survivors wander the streets, dazed, traumatized. Many take their own lives. Many are so overwhelmed by the shift in their reality that their minds cannot cope. Most of them don't know why the world has fallen silent. Many sleep, gathering their strength for the unknown, and never wake again. Those who can, band together. Those who can, survive. That was the end of chapter 12. Now we're into chapter 13. I think that was the last of the Dispatches from Earth chapters. Thank God, because I literally can't stand those chapters where it's just people dying left and right. I can't do that. That's horrible. But now I believe, I don't know. Oh, wait, oh no, we're back with Dave and them, I think. Chapter 13, On Fumes. We're so close to being done, guys. We're probably going to go a little over time today. That's okay. We're going to get there. On Fumes, Chapter 13, Part 1. Taffeta clouds pull themselves apart before the Gulf Stream, as if granting passage to mysterious lands. Mateo drains the syrupy dregs of a Red Bull, crumples the can, and adds it to a gathering pile on the floor. A storm of candy wrappers and chip crumbs assaults the co-pilot's chair. It's too fucking quiet, he thinks, and grabs for the radio handset. He presses the talk button. This is your deranged captain speak, but the headset squirts out of his chocolate-streaked fingers. He bumps the stick when he lunges for it, and the jet bobs uneasily in place. We're okay, Mateo broadcasts, having recovered the handset. But fuck this no noise, y'all. I don't know about you, but if I have to fly in somber silence for 2 more seconds, I'm gonna sleep on purpose. He fumbles with his phone, then slots it into the jet's luxurious sound system. I hope you guys are alive back there. Alive enough to be pissed about this. At least Dave. Dave, I'm sorry. I have to do it. A moment later, We don't talk about Bruno blasts through the cabin speakers. Mateo fishes another Red Bull from the cooler and peels open a Twix. Chapter 13, Part 2. The music fills the empty space in the plane, between Dave and Linda, who sit rows apart, not talking. Between Dave and Katie, who had been laid out in the final row and covered with a flimsy blanket. Bruno is followed by Let It Go, then You're Welcome, then Be Our Guest. We don't talk about Bruno, no, no, no. We don't talk about Bruno. Anyway, and a host of other Disney hits. When Mateo runs out of animated characters, Generation, oh my god, Suicida? I don't know if I said that right. Fills the cabin. Cringe, thanks, Linus. Linda watches Dave, fairly certain he's in shock. His neck lolls about on his shoulders. He stares blankly through the seats. She's glad for the music, the way it vibrates the whole plane. Mateo might be a shitty DJ, but the volume, the bass, is satisfyingly discomforting. Her body remains alert in protest. It's like military music torture, she says to Dave, but she can't hear her own voice above the sound. Abruptly, the music stops, and Mateo's voice emerges from the speakers. Boys and girls, he says, and Linda frowns, detecting a worrisome waver, maybe even a slur in Mateo's speech. I'd like to draw your attention to one of many exciting sights you'll see today. Turn to your left, that's my left too, and you'll see the sparkling Atlantic Ocean. Join me in saying farewell to the good old US of A, eh? A moment later, 16 going on 17 bangs out of the speakers. Linda plops into the seat next to Dave, who twitches but doesn't acknowledge her. She nudges him with her elbow. You ever ask yourself why Mateo's got all those particular songs on his phone? Silence. Hey, let's look out the window, she suggests. She suggests. I haven't seen the Atlantic since I was a little girl. Dave turns toward Linda, and she realizes oh my gosh, and she realizes he isn't in a shock. Oh my god. I can't read. Dave turns toward Linda, and she realizes he isn't in a shock at all. Just empty. His eyes are unfocused, scooped out. I ask myself why he has 10 Disney hits on his Spotify. I have a lot of Disney songs in my playlist too, so I can't really say anything. I see her, he says, walking up and down the aisle. She says my name. Dave. I promised I wouldn't let her sleep. I promised she'd be okay. Linda squeezes his hand. It's not your fault. I said we'd dance the whole way, he says, his voice breaking. But I didn't dance with her. Hey, stand up with me, now. She tugs on his hand, and reluctantly he rises. He sways in place and staggers as the plane bucks. Linda drags Dave up the aisle, toward the food service area behind the cockpit. She pops open a refrigerator that unscrews a bottle of water and pushes it into Dave's hands. Drink, she commands. All of it. Dave does, and when the bottle's empty, he runs his damp hands over his face. He blinks, feeling fractionally more alert. Thanks, he tells Linda. I get it, she says. We're unraveling. Odds of any of us getting through this are now officially minuscule. She pats his face, and he blinks. I don't know about you and Mateo, but I'm at 80 hours now, maybe 90. What is that, 4 days? Almost, she says. Dave leans into the alcove and retrieves another bottle. He hands it to Linda. You too. Chapter 13, Part 3. The instrument panel no longer makes any sense to Mateo, if it ever did. It isn't like the training planes he flew. The dashboards are all digital screens and virtual buttons. Even if he could read them, they're moving all over the place. The altitude indicators of sufficient artificial horizon overlapping the altimeter, creating a Venn diagram of doomed flight data. Fuck, I'm short-circuiting, he thinks. He presses the soft inner skin of his wrist against the window. The sharp cold grounds him, but only for a moment. He tries to relax his face, letting his features go slack. Then he slaps himself. First one cheek, then the other. Harder. Harder. Chapter 13, Part 4. Linda paws through the seat pockets, searching for anything to read. She knows it's a bad idea. 2 cents of anything will put her to sleep, but she's desperate. Dave does push-ups in the aisle. They're the sloppiest form Linda's ever seen. But he's moving, which means he isn't dead. Like Katie. A faint scream cuts through the bare naked lady song. Linda whips around. Dave, on his knees, panting, says, Was that? Stay here, she says, and pushes past him. The cockpit door is shut, but not locked, thank goodness. She bangs through it, then shuts it behind her. Mateo clutches one arm, pale and sweaty. Guess you heard that. he says in a reedy, sheepish voice. Shit. It smells like lighter fuel up here, she says. Then she spies the fallen lighter on the seat beside Mateo, the way he's clutching his arm. Suddenly she understands. Show me, she demands. He uncovers his arm and holds it out. Linda takes him by the wrist and elbow and inspects the scorched, bubbled skin. How many times, she asks. A few, he admits. It's an old Air Force trick for staying alert. You hold a lighter under your arm, just for a second. He shakes his head, blinking rapidly. Turns out a second is hard to measure when you're this tired. So how bad is it? You're alive, she says, ruffling his hair. Head of the class. She takes a step toward the door. You keep flying. I'm gonna get the first aid. Right there, Mateo says, nodding at a kit fastened to the wall. Linda studies Mateo's face. You don't want Dave to know? Macho bullshit, I know. He heard your scream, Mateo, she says. But hey, at least it was a macho scream. Mateo is a fun drink. I love Mateo. Hopefully, he says, yeah? Linda shakes her head. All right. Patch me up already, huh? While she wraps his arm, she says, when I took this job, I was working at Synogen's East Coast facility. Not the California HQ. The research labs. The ones that nobody knew were there. She gently cleans the burn. I figured I needed a little time to clear my head, so I drove cross-country. Long drive, Mateo says. By yourself? She nods. For the first couple of days, it was a leisurely trip. I stopped at all the roadside attractions, you know. World's biggest fork or whatever. But all of a sudden, I was over it. I needed to be where I was going. Like, I worried if I didn't get there as soon as possible, I'd just disappear, Mateo finishes. Something like that. Linda presses a gauze pad to his arm, then begins to wrap it in tape. I got into this single-minded groove, see? I couldn't stop driving. Eventually, I started to hallucinate things in the road. Things that weren't there. Couldn't make myself blink. Could hardly read the speedometer. How'd you stay awake? I didn't, she says. It was a micro nap. Probably not more than a second or two. Then I snapped awake, and the car was sliding through a wet meadow about 50 yards from the highway, she shrugs. I got incredibly lucky, I know. Lucky, Mateo echoes. There aren't any wet meadows up here, she says. How bad is it for you? Same. It's hard to read the instruments. I can switch to auto, but I worry if I do, you'll relax. I get it. She looked around the cockpit. Professional diagnosis? Hit me. Lay off the sugar and caffeine. He laughs. I'm actually not kidding. How many have you had? Red Bulls? He looks away. All of them? In this candy store? She indicates the pile of wrappers. It was like this when I got here? He asks hopefully. Linda takes his pulse. You're a regular as fuck. The best jazz guys couldn't keep pace with this rhythm. She cocks her head. History of heart problems? No, Mateo says. Serious? Water, she orders. Drink 5, 6 bottles. Then say your Mary full of graces and call me in the morning. I can take another pill, he suggests. I don't think so. Half then. It's a catastrophically bad idea, Mateo. Come on, what's the worst? With all that shit in your system now, she counts on her fingers, you could have a heart attack. You could lose consciousness. You could crash the plane and turn all of us into jelly. She reads the worry on his face, then shoves the candy wrappers aside and sits down. From the first aid kit, she grabs an accordion of peroxide pads. You got a pocket knife? Stop hating on my boy Mateo. He just needs some Red Bull and Monsters. If he has more Red Bull and Monsters, he'll fucking die. What? A Leatherman. With a knife blade? He nods. Then cut yourself. No more lighters. Small incisions. Nothing deep. She pats the meat of his forearm, then his thigh. Here or here is good. Paper cuts, okay? Then you take one of these pads. You press it on the wound. It'll sting like a bitch, but you won't scar, and it'll wake you right up. Your professional prescription is self-harm, Mateo says. It's the end of the world, Linda shrugs. Then she turns serious. No kidding, though. No more setting yourself on fire. Open flame, pressurized cabin. Don't be an asshole. Yes, ma'am. Chapter 13, Part 5. The doctors always make it sound bad. I'm sure 10 monsters won't kill him. Oh, okay, yeah. Chapter 13, Part 5. Get it together. Dave remembers his father's voice. The way he protested Tracy's coddling of little Davy. He'll be a useless adult. He has to learn how to deal with his own shit, Trace. A hand lands on Dave's shoulder. He looks up to see Linda's distorted face, rippled as though seen through a wave of rising heat. Hey, she says, you okay? What? He asks. She taps his cheek sharply. Dave! He snaps back from the gauzy territory between waking and sleeping. You're beginning to hallucinate, she says, waggling a finger in front of his face. How many fingers? One, he says, I think. Linda looks at her 3 fingers, then says, Try that again, Dave. Try again, Mateo says, leaning toward him across the aisle. You got this, bro. Dave blinks. You're supposed to be flying the plane. Oh yeah, he's got this under control, Mateo says, nodding toward the front of the plane. Dave leans in the aisle and sees another Mateo wave at him from the cockpit. See? Mateo asks. Hunky-dory, as Bossman Hank would say. Linda pulls Dave to his feet. Come with me, dream boy. Dave stumbles after her. When he turns and looks back at Mateo, he sees Mateo isn't Mateo at all. He's Katie, wearing a sleep mask and oversized headphones. Katie, Dave says. Nope. Linda drags Dave to the cockpit, then props him in the doorway. Stand here. To Mateo, she says, hit the auto for a second and come over here. Yeah, okay, Mateo says and flips a toggle. So can some people sleep and others can't? No, everyone will die if they sleep. They'll all die if they sleep. But they're apparently going to an island that they can sleep on without dying, so... both of you listen up. Linda says, clapping her fingers in front of Dave's face. We're micro-sleeping. You know what that is? Like microdosing, but way less cool? Mateo asks. Why are some people coherent then? What do you mean by coherent? You call cap on that? What do you mean by coherent? Like, why are they, like, they're, it's explaining right now. So they're micro-sleeping. So they're, like, sleeping for 1 or 2 seconds before you. So they only die when they start dreaming. Like, the nurse seems fine. No, so they're all, like, she's literally saying they're all, like, micro-sleeping, like, so they're, like, all doing, like, short naps. So they don't die immediately when they fall asleep. They have to get to, like, the stage of, like, dreaming in order to die, because they're all dying in their dreams. So when they start dreaming is when they'll die. So they can, like, fall asleep for, like, 2 minutes, probably max, before they start dreaming. Sounds like a nerve gas attack. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Let me see over here real quick. Where did I leave off? Oh, or microsleeping. You know what that is? Like microdosing, but way less cool, Mateo asks. Dave turns toward the cabin. I saw Katie, he says. I should check. Assholes, Linda shouts. Both guys flinch. Yo, that was loud, Mateo complains, inserting his pinky finger into his ear and wiggling it around. If you were an archaeologist, you'd know hearing damage is no laughing matter. Anthropologist, Dave corrects. Audiologist, you fucks, Linda says. We are sleeping. Right now, our brains are so goddamn tired, they're shutting us down, bit by bit. We're at the red line, boys. Doesn't matter what we do now, we're going to sleep. We can't stop it. Dave peers at Linda's face, whose eyes are streaked with black. Are you wearing mascara? I want some, Mateo whines. And when Dave turns to look at him, Mateo blinks out of sight. Dave, Linda says, stay with me, buddy. Linda is holding a basket, and Dave peeks inside. There's a baby, he says. The blanket moves, and a tiny gray elephant unfurls its small trunk and trumpets. It looks like my mom. It sounds like a kazoo. Katie appears at Dave's shoulder. It does look like your mother, she says, touching the elephant's little round belly. What a cutie. Is it you, Dave? I'm sorry, Dave says, beginning to cry. But Dave, Katie says, I'm happy now. Don't be sad. I got everything I deserved. We're going to die out here. Dave and Katie look up to see a new Dave, cross-legged in the co-pilot's chair. You think? Katie asks new Dave. Theoretically, we're already dead, says another Dave. He stands in the aisle behind them, wearing a crisp white shirt and a blue bow tie. Can I take your drink orders? Where's the gas pedal? Davy, small and delighted, sits in the pilot's seat, kicking his feet. I want to make this thing fly. Chapter 13, Part 6. Dave is fucking losing it, by the way, guys. But I mean, if you were that sleep deprived, I would probably lose it too. I like all the days but the original. Yeah. Chapter 13, Part 6. Dave jolts in his seat. His face stings, his ears ring. Linda stands over him, hand raised to slap him once again. It's about fucking time, she says, breathing hard. Listen to me, Free Willy. You want to go to sleep once we land? Go right the fuck ahead. But you're not getting off this plane before we do. But you're not getting off this plane before we do. For the next 2 hours, I'm making my personal responsibility to slap your ass awake. Understand? Dave blinks at her. 2 hours? 2 goddamn hours. That's what you owe me. And Mateo. And Katie, too. Remember? She wanted you to get where we're going. Linda thrust a finger in his face. If you so much as blink one more time, I'm gonna kick you in the balls. He nods, swallows hard. I'm going crazy. Welcome to the party. I'm so tired. The plane lurches, then drops steeply. A moment later, it stabilizes again. Motherfucker, Linda says. Why do I have to be the mom, huh? She grabs Dave's wrist and drags him in her wake, stopping, en route to the cockpit, to pluck a bottle from one of the duffel bags. She cracks open the ammonia bottle and holds it under Mateo's nose. Mateo, gone limp at the controls, suddenly snaps upright. His skin is pallid, clammy with sweat. He looks wildly around for a receptacle. Linda hands him a vomit bag, then turns to Dave while Mateo fills it. Your turn, she says. She holds up the bottle. Big whiff. The sour bite of the ammonia cuts through his fog. It sharpens him, if only a little. Good. Linda turns to Mateo. You trust the autopilot on this thing? Mateo nods weakly. Turn it on, she orders. I want you both walking. Front of the plane to the back. Then do it until I say stop, okay? Katie's back there, Dave protests. Linda sighs. Fine. Jog in place. Move your ass. She can be the dad if she wants, I guess. That's true. If that dial right there goes down, you've got to move, Linda barks, and the guys start moving. Chapter 13, Part 7. The remaining 2 hours pass slowly, but Linda's efforts work, somehow locating a fifth or sixth wind in each of the guys. When Mateo's voice comes over the speaker, announcing land, Dave can hardly believe it. Linda releases a breath she's been holding for hours. We made it. I feel about 50 years old, Dave confesses, but we're here. We really did it. The intercom crackles. Oh fuck, hold on. The plane banks a hard left, and Dave and Linda throw themselves into their seats and buckle. Chapter 13, Part 8. Sure hope they don't pass out last second. I know, right? Chapter 13, Part 8. Here's the deal, Mateo says, half churning in the pilot's chair. Dave and Linda have squeezed into the cockpit, which smells of sweat and bile and Red Bull. We, don't have a runway, Mateo says. What? I've circled the island 3 times now. There's no fucking runway. Linda says, okay, but there has to be. There isn't. I'm afraid of heights, she says. Plus sharks. The fall will kill you. Dave jokes feebly, but nobody laughs. Nobody's jumping, Mateo says. We're too low. So go higher, Dave says. This thing has parachutes, surely. Not an option, bro. We're flying on fumes. We just stall right out of the sky. So what are our options? Linda asks. Please don't say, we're gonna butter the plane. Linda's brow knits. What the fuck is butter? I'm gonna Sullenberger this shit. Is he speaking English? She asks Dave. We're landing, Mateo clarifies. He gestures with his hands, simulating a plane skipping across water. On the ocean. Linda blanches. That's what I thought you were going to say. Before butter. Can we do that? Dave asks. I love Mateo. I know, he's my favorite. Can we do that? Dave asks. Mateo looks at the controls, then at the water, then back at Dave. Is this a trick question? He's asking if we're going to die, Linda says. Are we going to die? Probably, but that was going to happen anyway, right? Mateo says. But if you do what I say, then maybe we have a shot. Chapter 13, Part 9. Dave and Linda race around the plane, following Mateo's shouted instructions. Dave stows the duffels in overhead compartments. When there's no more room, he straps the remaining bags into seats. Linda handles Katie, buckling her body tightly into place. Then she returns to the front, where Dave's locking down the last bag. Linda, Dave says, if we die, stop. It was cool to meet you. Mateo's right. You're crazy. But we wouldn't have gotten this far without you. I'm certain of it. She snorts nervously. I got us all the way to the end, just in time for us to splatter on the waves. The mental image sobers her up. God damn, I'm scared. She admits. Me too. The intercom crackles. I hope you guys are squared away. It's time. Mateo calls out for them to buckle in. Heads between your knees. Wait. First, make sure you see the exits. If we survive the landing, go right to them. Don't grab anything. Linda grips Dave's hands as they buckle up, side by side. Okay, now put your heads down. Mateo's voice strains. Cutting the engines. The persistent white noise of the engine suddenly ceases. For a moment, all Dave can hear is the low whistle of wind over the fuselage and wings. He looks to his right and sees Linda, eyes closed, lips moving, reciting something he can't hear. Descending, Mateo shouts. Here we go, folks. The whistle becomes a shout, then a shriek. The seats rattle in place. The last thing Dave notices before he bends forward is the windows. They flex against the pressure, bowing inward like bubbles. Mateo's voice is faint over the cacophony. Opening emergency doors. There's a sudden boom as the doors explode away from the plane. The cabins fill with biting wind. Linda's hair flaps against Dave's ear. He squeezes her hand tightly. Brace for impact, Mateo's tiny voice cries. Linda screams. Time slows. Dave hears a whisper and raises his head to see Katie in the aisle. The seats around her snap violently back and forth, but she is unmoved, serene. Her hair rides the wind like a scarf. She wears a peaceful smile as she holds Dave's gaze. The cabin lights go out. Light spills through the windows like rays of sun through a canopy of leaves. The horizon rotates at an impossible angle. All Dave can see now is the ocean, broad and blue and still barreling toward them. God help us, he thinks. He bends forward, then remembers that he doesn't believe in God. And that was the end of chapter 13. We're into the next chapter. We're so close to the end, guys. We're literally so close. It's like right there. We're so close. We're almost there. We're so close. All right, here we go. We're gonna finish this book tonight, even if we go like 3 hours. We're gonna finish this book. Okay. Chapter 14, Part 1. Oh, we're back with Eli and Millie, it looks like. Eli is relieved he can't feel anything below the waist, because he's almost certain the emergency brake is jammed right up his butt. Ooh. He maneuvers himself into the gap between the passenger seat and Millie's seat, then goes to work on Millie's face, slapping her until her eyes open. She gasps loudly and gutturally, as if she's just been resuscitated after drowning. We'll get him in the next chapter. I don't think this chapter is a very long one. No, it's a shorter one. Oh, thank God, Eli moans, and slumps against Millie's shoulder. Millie coughs, then shakes her head to clear it. I wasn't sleeping, she rasps, then coughs again. Says you, Eli observes. I was the one watching you fall asleep at the wheel, and then you just about murders us both. What happened? Millie rests her head on Eli's. I told you, I have narcolepsy. But you take things. Right, but drugs are temperamental. Millie clears her throat, which feels like she swallowed sand. Or brains are. Or maybe just I am. You can't drive anymore, Eli rules, like a skinny judge in a t-shirt. Newsflash, Millie says, peering at the hood. A crumpled mess. The windshield is cracked, but not shattered, and one of the headlights points skyward at a jaunty angle. I don't think anyone's driving this thing anymore. She looks down at Eli's legs. Is the e-brake up your butt? Could be, but how would I know? Fair enough. Do we just sit here? Eli asks. We're an hour from Cleveland, and it's, the storm from hell out there, and I don't see anywhere to walk, do you? Millie winces. Also, I might have broken something. Where? I don't know. Can you break your neck from whiplash? You can definitely break your neck from whiplash. Can you turn your head? Millie turns a little toward Eli, then a little more, then grits her teeth. Fuck. That far, and then it's like there's a rebar jammed through my spine. I don't think it's broken if you can churn it. Can you break your ankle from whiplash? You can break your ankle from a fucking car accident, Eli says. Is your ankle broken? You have to look. I can't bend my neck. Left or right? Left. Eli delicately leans over the steering wheel, squinting into the shadowy floorboard. I can't tell. How can you not tell? Can you? I tried moving it already. I don't think it worked. Okay, so maybe broken. What about you? Are you okay? Everything from here up seems tip-top, Eli says, gesturing at his midsection. Everything from here down? Well, again, how would I know? Chapter 14, Part 2. Despite the storm, night comes in sticky and hot. The Honda's air conditioning fails at the heat while Millie and Eli sit sweating on the side of the highway. What's up with that? Millie asked, jerking her chin at Eli's old MP3 player. It's in the floorboard, where Eli can't reach it. It's got sentimental value, that's all. It's a knockoff, Millie says. I remember those. Cheaper than an iPod or a boxer, right? And old, too. Why are you carrying that old thing around? Eli regards Millie carefully, as if weighing how much to tell her. I don't bite, Millie says. This is my second car wreck, Eli says. It's funny. I'd have expected it to fuck me up, going through this again, but I feel fine. I feel more in control. Scarlet Fire on the MP3 player. What happened the first time? I was just a kid. I lived through a Disney origin story, you know. On vacation with my parents. First vacation ever for me, in fact. And boom, 20 miles outside the city, well, They both died. I didn't. Eli fiddles with his fingertips, picks at a bit of loose skin. The car went off the road and down this incline. There was a lot of brush. Took all day for someone to notice the skid marks, I guess, and come looking for the car. Jesus. Eli glances at the passenger mirror, angled so he can see the shape of the dead man resting against the back seat window. Not my first time in a wrecked car with a dead body, he mutters. Thought that would have fucked me up more, too. You're in shock, maybe. Maybe. Millie pats Eli's knee, then remembering, pats his shoulder instead. So what's the MP3 story? Eli lets his breath out slowly. That's the last recording I have of their voices. They like to sing. It's my favorite song. It looks like it might still work, Millie offers hopefully. Do you have a charging cable from 1842? Millie shakes her head. Then it won't work. Chapter 14, Part 3. Millie counts out pills from the pharmacy stash. Yeah, they sang Scarlet Fire together. I don't know about you, she says, dry swallowing too, but I could fucking sleep. These won't work forever, Eli points out. Trust me, I've got experience with these sorts of things. Millie side-eyes him. You forgot who you're talking to, Squirt. We'll find something on the radio, I'm sure of it. Eli snaps the radio on, then presses the scan button. He frowns and presses it again. Does anything in this junker work? This old junker made the Kessel run in. Nope. Eli spins the dial manually, skipping over station after station of static before the first working channel interrupts the noise. What's this? A classical song fades into silence. There's a long beat, and then the same song begins to play again. There's nobody there, Millie says. It's just a computer on a loop. Keep looking. The FM band is dead, not on the AM band. But on the AM band, Eli finds a voice half buried in white noise. He cranks the volume, straining to make it out. Never mind, they explain that. Goddamn apocalypse, I shit you not, the voice reports coarsely. Under any other circumstances, the FCC would be at my door already. That I've been on the air 14 hours without the Fed showing up. Tells you all you need to know now, don't it? Who is this guy? Eli wonders. My mom knew all sorts of cracked up survivalist types, Millie says. When we were running all those years, sometimes we'd stay with them. This one lady, real old, she had this 1960s-style bomb shelter buried on her property, way up north in the woods. Michigan, I think. Maybe Wyoming? Big difference between those, Eli points out. Yeah, well, we went to a lot of places, and I was 6, she continues. The lady, she had a ham radio set up in her bunker, connected to this homemade antenna she'd strung up in a tree. We slept in that bunker for a week, and every night she'd come down and start broadcasting at 4 a.m., just old songs mostly. I think she figured if the radio wasn't going to play what she wanted, then she'd make it play her favorite songs. Old Peggy Lee, Doris Day stuff. Millie nods at the radio. This guy's probably doing the same thing. Some crazy in an attic or a basement with an old CB. Did you hear what he just said? He said it's the apocalypse. Trust me, to a guy like that, a plane flying over his cabin isn't the apocalypse. Yeah, but Eli gestures at the empty highway. I haven't seen another car since we wrecked. He lowered his voice. The dead guy could be right. It's the end of the world. Well, if it is, you and I are screwed. You ever see that old Twilight Zone episode? Where the last guy alive with 1,000 books to read? We're the last guy alive with 1,000 books to read, except we broke our glasses. I never saw it. Shush. Oh, yes, people dying in their sleep isn't the apocalypse. Yeah. Well, so I don't think they know. Well, they were told by the hitchhiker they picked up that people were dying in their sleep, but they don't quite believe that yet. So, on the radio, the amateur broadcaster says, Now look, I've been listening to all the broadcasts I can find. The last one I just played, that one was from Greenland, of all places. But this next one, it's a little closer to home. This one's right here in the US of A. Listen up. There's a harsh click, and then a new voice comes out of the radio. Can anyone hear me? Hello? Mateo, is this thing working? I hope this works. Listen up. If you can hear this, this is an emergency broadcast. Look, I'm just going to come right and say it, okay? Do not go to sleep. If you can hear my voice right now, stay awake. My name is Linda Russo. I'm an advanced practice registered nurse at Santa Mira Medical Center. If you're hearing me, come to the hospital. We don't know if this is some kind of pandemic or an attack. We don't know. Again, this is an emergency broadcast. I have to go now. The hospital. Come to the hospital. Do not go to sleep. Godspeed. Eli looks at Millie, who looks down at the paper sack filled with pill bottles and says, "It's a good thing we have all of these." Well, now they know that's cool. Yes, now they know. "I'm scared," Eli says. Yeah. Yeah, kid. Me too. Eli's hands, oh my god, Eli's hand finds Millie's and squeezes. She squeezes back. That was the end of chapter 14. Oh, we're almost there, guys. Just a little bit more. Just a little. Oh, this next chapter is really fucking long. Jesus. Yeah, this next chapter is real thick. Holy cow. Yes, Mateo. I think, hopefully. Chapter 16, Part 1. Dave doesn't know where he is. The plane disassembles itself in the black of the sea. Waters that just a few moments before were glittering blue. The dark around him is not quite complete. There's movement in its depths. Mateo, my second favorite drunk beat, only by Hey Mitch. A spark of gold somewhere below him. Below him? Above? Pulls his focus, and twisted sections of the plane corkscrew past. He can't swim out of the way. He's still buckled in. A hunk of fuselage strikes his seat and sends him spiraling deeper. He looks left, but Linda's seat is gone. The whole front of the airplane is gone. Mateo, Linda. A coldness rocks him. Katie. Dave struggles with the seatbelt, but the metal clasp is dented. It won't separate. Above him, the surface light grows fainter. I'm going to die, he thinks. Then, maybe I'm already dead. He turns his gaze upward, hoping to catch one last sliver of sunlight as the world recedes from him. And something sleek and dark slides through the water above. Chapter 16, Part 2. If I had a nickel for every favorite junk I have, I would have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that I have 3. Chapter 16, Part 2. Dave, come on, come. Shit, I've got him. Mateo, A face, blurry and distorted, slowly morphs into one that Dave recognizes. Linda wears a relieved expression. Jesus, she says. I thought you'd bought it. What did you bring me? Dave mumbles softly. Water leaks from his mouth. What did you say? She tips her ear closer. Say it again. Dave coughs, his torso spasming as water rushes out of his mouth. Linda gets a face full of recycled seawater, but quickly turns him on his slide. She hits his back with the flat of her palm, and Dave feels for a moment as if he swallowed the whole ocean. Miraculously, Mateo is there too, and as Dave recovers, sucking fresh lungfuls of cool air, he reaches for his friend's hands, gripping each of them tight. Mateo drops Dave's hands and throws his arm around him. Goddamn, he mutters. We're not dead. I can't fucking believe we're not dead. We should be, Linda agrees, lying down on the coarse sand. Instead, we're stranded. This is it, isn't it? Aristera? You brought us to a deserted island. Dave groans as he forces himself upright. Mateo helps, a hand on Dave's back. Not deserted, Dave says, his tongue in a braided slug in his mouth. He turns and squints his back to the water, then says, We have to go there, that way, through the hills. You can't possibly know. I know, Dave says. It was in my dream. He starts to get up, but Linda puts a hand on his shoulder, holding him in place. Just breathe a minute, okay? We were just in a plane crash. Let's just catch our breath. She closes her eyes and reclines on the beach. This time it's Mateo who puts an end to it. I don't think so, crazy lady, he says. We move. We move now. Chapter 16, Part 3. Aristera on any other day would be beautiful, but to the 3 of them, it's something out of Dante's Inferno. They stagger across the sand, bodies bruised and battered from their collision with the sea, past olive trees and scrubby patches of tamarisk. Sand gives way to grassy hills. Smooth plains of sandstone rise it up in complicated formations. Is that a goat? Mateo asks, pointing at something as something disappears into the brush. Dave follows a path downward, and the hills become the walls of a narrow valley. Keep moving, he says. Don't look at anything. Don't look at anything? Mateo echoes. Did you not hear me say I saw a goat? Goats, man. On a dead island. This is the craziest shit ever. Does anyone else hear that? Linda asks, rubbing her temples. Mateo pauses, listening. I don't hear anything. I hear it, Dave says. I've heard it before. Where? Linda manages. Dave looks back at her. She doesn't look good. Her skin is pallid, almost green. He remembers the feeling, lying there in the dirt, chained to a stake, the needles chewing out his brain. Doesn't matter, he says, but we can't stop now. After another 100 meters or so, Mateo takes a bad step and shoulders into the rough soil wall. Fuck, he says. I hear it too. I feel like someone put my head into a blender. What the fuck is it? It's trying to stop us, Dave says. It? They start moving again. Mateo's adrenaline has dissipated, and he staggers from side to side. Linda moans somewhere between a cry of pain and a sob. Keep moving, Dave urges. His back is on fire, his muscles screaming. He thinks he might have cracked a rib or two. We can't stop. We've come this far. Mateo needs a Red Bull bad. He forges on until the path narrows. The walls tighten around them, and Dave points out a slender crevice ahead. We'll climb there, he says. It's just a few feet away. We can do it. He and Mateo hoist Linda up first, and as soon as her feet touch the ground above, she collapses with a cry of relief. It's stopped, she says. Thank God, it's stopped. Mateo goes up next, then turns to offer Dave his hand. Dave bites back a cry as his broken ribs grind against one another, and then he's up too. 3 of them catch their breath. She's right, Mateo says. I feel like I just evicted a bad roommate from my head. But Dave ignores this and says, oh fuck. Are you guys seeing this or... Chapter 16, Part 4. None of this should be here. Dave reaches for Mateo's and Linda's hands without thinking, then steps forward toward the mirage ahead. Hi, Dip. Welcome in. We're at the end of our story, by the way, so if you don't want any spoilers, it's okay if you dip out. I'll catch you on the next stream. But we're reading The Edge of Sleep. We're almost right at the end. It's not real, right? Linda asks. Before them, the stage has been set for a funeral. Chairs arranged in careful rows in the grass. Immense floral arrangements on tripods. A lectern draped in black cloth. And at the center of it all, a gleaming casket, black with striations of gold strands. I'd like to leave now, Mateo whispers. His voice is tight, his words barely audible. My gun, Linda says, and turns to Mateo. Do you... Mateo pats his waistband. His mouth draws tight as he remembers putting the gun down on the co-pilot's seat. I don't have it, he offers helplessly. Dearly beloved, a voice intones, and as if triggered by unseen strings, Dave, Mateo, and Linda all square their shoulders and stand at attention. Please take your seats for the morning. Sorry, I keep burping. I don't know why. Please take your seats for the morning. Dave can't stop his feet from moving, as if programmed to do so. He and the others walk to the rows of chairs. Their hands separate. It's okay, Mateo, you shouldn't have been expected to take the gun, you're stressed. Their hands separate, and they each drift to their own chair, far from the others. Mateo finds a seat in the back. Linda on the opposite side, somewhere in the middle. Dave is drawn to a chair right up front. The strange voice belongs to a figure who stands now at the lectern, gripping its edges with pale fingers. The stranger's face is veiled in black. Welcome, children of gods, the figure says. Its voice is smooth, dark, deep, impossibly refined. Today we gather in this place of memory, in grace to remember the soul of dear Catherine Maria Dowd. Dave's heart slows to a dull thump as the stranger turns to the casket and slowly lifts its lid. Inside lies Katie, wearing the cornflower-colored dress she wore on her first date with Dave. Her hair is twisted into a braid and laid across one shoulder. Her face has been tastefully made up, so richly pink she might still be alive. Katie, as she liked to be called, was taken before her time, the figure says. Behind Dave, Linda and Mateo echo those words, before her time. He wants to turn and glare at them, or perhaps plead with them, but he can't move. He's stapled in place, spine straight, feet nailed to the earth. Katie gave her life to those who cared for her, the stranger continues. What a glorious heart she had. Even in her own darkest hours, she put those she loved first. The figure's veiled face shifts slightly toward Dave. Though he tries, Dave cannot close his eyes. In Katie's final hours, her last minutes on this great planet, she felt lost, tired, afraid. She believed hope was gone, and she looked to others, for once in her life, to supply her with that lost faith. The figure is now staring at Dave. Dave is certain of it. She looked to you, Dave Torres, and you looked away. You let my baby die, a new voice says, and Dave turns left to see Margaret Dowd, Katie's mother, staring at him accusingly. She loved you, says Tracy, sitting to Dave's right, hands flat against her cheeks, pulling at her skin. She loved you like I loved you. Invisible hands turn Dave's face forward again. Katie is sitting on the casket, legs dangling, ankles crossed. Her blue dress is tattered, her hair unkempt. Her skin has lost its color. Her jaw works left and right, unnaturally. And when she parts her lips to speak, gallons of seawater pour out of her mouth, drenching her dress. Good thing they aren't manipulating Mateo. They might be. This is from Dave's perspective, so they might be doing like different hallucinations for all of them. But I only wanted to live, Katie says, a strand of kelp dangling from her lips. Dave, I told you I was scared. No, Dave says, it isn't my fault. I tried. The veiled figure cocks its head. Oh, but did you? Yes, I really tried. The figure raises its hand to the veil. What a pity that's what you believe, it says, and then it pulls the veil back, revealing black eyes and pebbled gray skin. You're not special, Dave. You're just like your friends. The sight of the elephant beast snaps Dave's head back, but he still can't move his limbs. The elephant's trunk curls around Dave's neck, and Dave squeezes his eyes shut, hiding himself away from the monster's hideous, empty eyes. Don't hurt my friends, Dave says through the clenched teeth. You're my monster, not theirs. Oh, they see me too, the elephant says, its breath hot and foul in Dave's nose. But they see me their own way. Take a look. The elephant spins Dave's head in a circle, oblivious to the laws of physics. In the middle of the funeral assembly, Linda, pinned to her chair, is screaming. Ruth Nelson stands over her in a disintegrating hospital gown, eyes bulging from pallid blue skin. Where was it? Oh, you took advantage of me, Ruth says to Linda. Her mouth yawns black, an endless void, as she grips Linda's face. You let me die so you could benefit, so you wouldn't have to. I didn't, Linda shrieks. I didn't. She took a life to save her own, the elephant says. That is how she sees me. That is who I am to her. The elephant turns Dave's neck further. And your other friend. Mateo's head is thrown back in a primal cry. His shoulders shake as he wails to the sky. A child sits in his lap, skin charred and blown away from muscle and bone. The little boy is missing an arm, missing a foot. His small body is folded in directions it shouldn't be folded. But he looks up at Mateo with one eye, with half his skull still intact, and just repeats one word over and over. Why? 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 He worked so hard not to remember that boy, the elephant says. The boy who ran out of an empty house right after your friend pushed the bomb release button on his drone console. But the boy has never forgotten him. Through me, Mateo still sees him. The elephant rotates Dave's head completely around, then says, and you, of course, get me. This. Fuck you, Dave says. Whatever you are, you don't belong here. Poor Dave, you have tried so hard. The elephant's eyes widen more, as if they are gateways to some cosmic hell. You dare to walk beyond the veil, but you and your friends will die here, at the threshold. Before Dave can ask what threshold the thing is talking about, an ambient tone thrums violently around him, the force of it like needles piercing his skull. Behind him, Linda and Mateo scream. Dave feels a rush of liquid in his ears. Let us go, Dave groans. Oh, but we've only just started, the elephant responds. And as Dave looks on in horror, it begins to shapeshift, its face contorting until it's the face of Dr. Castaneda. The doctor's fountain pen juts from its neck. Remember, Dave? Yes, you remember. You killed me. I was only trying to help you and you murdered me. Murdered, Dave. And all I did to you was send you to the hospital for 2 years. I know you think about it all the time. I know you remember me. I know I'm the reason you take the pills. You aren't him, Dave yells. You aren't real. The elephant, Castaneda, pulls the fountain pen from its throat. A fountain of warm blood mists into the air, coating Dave's face. Dave blinks rapidly, trying to clear his vision. The monster touches the pen to Dave's cheek. The nib is sharp enough to puncture his skin with even the faintest touch. How about your eyes? Elephant Castaneda asks. A fair exchange for the damage you've caused, wouldn't you say? When Dave doesn't answer, it continues. Did you know that I was married when you murdered me? That I had 3 little children? This isn't real, Dave says. Isn't real. Oh, this is real, the monster says. Over its shoulder, Dave sees Katie, legs still dangling from the side of her casket. She looks at him sweetly, her big eyes filled with kindness. Stay here, Dave, she says. All of this will go away if you just stay with me. She's not real, Dave cries. He cries out as loudly as he can, hoping the others will hear. None of this is real. Hang on. The elephant doctor slides the point of the pen upward, into the soft tissue beneath Dave's eye. Fresh blood courses down Dave's face. The pain feels very real to him. Just take my hand, Dave, Katie says, suddenly standing next to the monster. That's all. We can have another chance. You owe me that. Dave squeezes his eyes tightly. A stuttering carousel of memories projects on his inner eyelids. Katie's cold feet touching his toes beneath the sheets. Katie laughing at his homemade carbonara. The warmth of her body pressed to his, the two of them turning in slow circle on a merry-go-round in Helena Ward Park. Sky watching from the roof of Katie's apartment building. Her lips small and soft, her eyes so deep that He opens his eyes and looks past the monster. At Katie. Stay, Katie says. Her pupils are large black triangles, like the answer in a magic 8-ball. Stay. I won't, Dave says. Then as loudly as he can for the others, he shouts, We won't stay. We won't. For all he knows, his friends are dead already. A pity, the elephant says, shifting away Castaneda's features. Though I'm not surprised. Stubborn and insistent. You have always been both. The elephant applies pressure to the fountain pen. Dave feels it slip into his skin. I know the whale, Dave says, clenching his teeth against the pain. There is time enough to see the elephant's eyes reflect fear, and then the first gong sounds. The sound is to the elephant what the needles were to Dave and Linda and Mateo. The elephant clutches its skull, which bulges. The gong sounds again, its powerful reverberation washing over the island like a tsunami. The chairs around Dave are blown away. The imposter Katie is knocked to her knees. I know the whale, Dave shouts, and when the gong rings out a third time, the force of it slams Katie's casket lid shut. Chapter 16, Part 5. Dave pushes against the ground, raising himself upright. Behind him, Linda is on her back, gasping. Mateo is bent forward over his knees, shoulders shaking. Guys, Dave says, looking around. It's over. The casket, the flowers, the chairs, they're all gone. The three of them are alone in a clearing that looks as if it hasn't been visited by humans in thousands of years. In 1,000 years. The sun hangs high overhead, throwing tree shadows upon the three of them. Are we okay? Dave asks. We're okay, right? Is anyone hurt? Look, Linda says. She rocks onto her side and points. Far away, through gaps in the firs, a bone-white pyramid rises from the island. Dave wonders how he could have missed it before. The sight of it now does something to him, draws him up straight. He squares his shoulders without realizing he's doing so. He feels his breathing regulate. That's it, isn't it? Linda asks. Where you're leading us? Before Dave can answer, a voice calls out to the group, silhouetted on a ridge above them. A lanky figure shouts, My friends! Hello! Welcome! Dave's muscles tighten as the stranger lightly hops from rock to rock down to the clearing. On closer inspection, the man who grins broadly at them appears to be no threat. He holds both palms out, showing that he is unarmed, and then claps his hands happily. There are 3, he says. Oh, we know there would be one of you, but 3? What a glorious day! Mateo coughs and spits blood into the sand. The stranger's brow furrows. You are injured, he says. He turns to Dave. You found trouble here? Dave nods. You could say that. The veil is not so strong here, the man says. Are you Russian? Linda asks. The man's eyes light up. Oh my god, I can't fucking say it. Priyezdom? He says. When Linda looks confused, he says, well, it was worth a try. Yes, madam. I am from, oh my god, Sviazsk? I don't know. Small town. Not many people at all. Not so warm as here. Dave looks at his friends. Linda's face is scratched, and she's bleeding from her right ear and her nose. Mateo's bruised, his teeth stained red, and Dave can feel blood beginning to crust on his own face. We need help, Dave says to the stranger. Are you here to help? Help, the man says, and pats his hands together again. I am your emissary from safety. He points toward the pyramids in the distance. You are all safe now. Come with me. Let's take care of your aching bodies. You must be tired, no? Fucking exhausted, Mateo says, and spits again. Chapter 16, Part 6. The pyramid is not their destination, Dave realizes, and that's a good thing. because none of them could manage the distance right now. Linda and Mateo lean on each other for support. Dave staggers along behind the Russian. Soon the man leads them through a narrow gap in a bank of bushes and vines, then does a little fancy jig and says, "Ta-da!" Linda's sharp intake of breath is all the man needs to hear. He chuckles and says, "Oh, friends, I remember how it felt to arrive here myself, only days ago, but I felt like a starving man who stumbled into a feast, much as you do now, I think." The ground slips away beneath their feet, revealing a village below. Houses with terracotta tile roofs, their walls painted all the shades of sunlight a person could imagine, pale pinks and watery oranges and lilac. On a nearby terrace, people wrapped in blankets sit around a flickering fire pit. Refugees, the Russian says, like you. There are people everywhere, in various states of disrepair and dress. Moving among them are several elderly women in flowing robes serving tea, applying compresses and salves. Newcomers file into the village through a gate and are handed string-tied bundles, blankets and sandals and things. Chickens strut between people's feet, pecking at sand and one another. A woman rests in the shade of a balcony, a baby pressed to her breast. Dave can smell food roasting somewhere, and his mouth fills with saliva. "It's heaven," Mateo says. "I can't believe this is real." "I can't believe we made it," Linda says. "Most people think they're dead," the Russian adds helpfully. "You three maybe more than most. We saw your play. It was quite dramatic. A scene from an action movie. Maybe one of yours, with the actor who is always trying to kill himself." "Tom Cruise," Mateo says. Yes, says the Russian. "I like the one where he goes to space and loses his helmet." He clucks his tongue. "A Russian would never lose his helmet in space, let me tell you." Chapter 16, Part 7. "Same as you," the Russian says in answer to Mateo's question. "Everyone here had a dream, received a message. Come to Aristera. Almost certainly more people received it, too, and did not know what to do with it, or did not have the means to come." Dave looks at his friends, their faces freshly scrubbed, hair washed, eyes bright. They are wrapped in blankets, cradling steaming mugs. The last few days feel suddenly very far away from here, like a dream he's woken from. "Yesterday, a little boat arrived," the Russian continues. "I'm surprised it made the journey. It was patched with tinfoil in places." "Where did it come from?" Linda asked. "Tunisia." The Russian tilts his head. "I suppose it's too much to hope any of you speak Arabic." Mateo shakes his head. "Sorry, man. Spanish and English is all I've got." The Russian offers a smile. To some people, oh my gosh. The Russian offers a smile to some people who walk past his hut, carrying bundles of straw. Yes, he says. "Good to see you. Hello." When they have gone, he says, "They were here before me, but they never say a word." Linda looks at Dave, then Mateo, then says, "I have to ask." The Russian nods. "You want to know what happened?" "Do you know?" Dave asks. "Do you know what's killing everyone?" The Russian inhales deeply. "You've seen it, yes? What did it look like to you?" Hi, Technomancer. Welcome in. We're doing our reading stream. We're almost done with the book we're currently reading. It's The Edge of Sleep. So if you don't want any spoilers, it's okay if you dip. But thank you for popping in and saying hi. The Edge of Sleep is it's a very good book. It's like cosmic horror book. It also got turned into a TV show. It's the TV show that Markiplier acted in. So if you're interested, it's very good. Both the TV show and the book so far. But yeah, we're literally like right at the end. So if you don't want any spoilers, um, you've seen it, yes? What did it look like to you? "Like an elephant," he says. "Specifically? What elephant?" Dave glances at his feet. "I was terrified of elephants when I was a kid," he says. "I don't know why, even now. They just creep me out." "Elephants, man. How do they work?" Mateo jokes, but his voice is unsteady. "What was it to you?" the Russian asks Mateo. "Pass," Mateo answers. He makes a circle motion with one finger. Come back to me." "It was a woman for me," Linda offers. "A patient I took advantage of." "It takes many forms," the Russian agrees. "For everyone, the beast is something different. For one of the little girls in our village, it is an enormous cockroach. One crawled across her once as she slept, and she crushed it with a book. For one of the old men, it is a vulture. As a child, he saw it picking at the bones of his father when the search party found his remains." "I bombed a house," Mateo says in a rush. "It was supposed to be empty." He buries his face in his hands. "There was a little boy." The Russian places his hand firmly on Mateo's shoulder. "All of us here are walking wounded," he says. "We are not heroes or gods. None of us is innocent. The beast preys upon our guilt and fears. The old man who sees a vulture? When he was a boy, he wished for his father to die. He is now 80. He has lived with that guilt all his years. To all of them, he says, it is our guilt that makes us human, and to the beast, it is what makes us vulnerable. Why do I see an elephant then? Dave asks. I do not know, but Safet can help you understand. He will teach you what you need to know. Who? Oh, you've met, the Russian says, getting to his feet. Trust me. Everyone stands too, but the Russian holds up a hand. He touches Linda and Mateo's faces and says, rest for now. To Dave, he says, come with me. The Russian turns away and Dave shares a look with his friends. I don't know, he says, but it's okay. I can tell. Be careful, Linda says. Please. Chapter 16, Part 8. They trust you, the Russian says. Dave follows the man through the village. I guess. They are here. You saved their lives. We almost died. We all almost died, the Russian says. Many arrived in much worse shape than you three. Very fortunate you are. With the plane. Well, I thought for sure you were dead. I thought all was lost. All? Dave pauses, then looks ahead, toward the pyramid rising from the trees. It's closer than before. Where are we going? It's time for you to meet him in the flesh, the Russian says. Safet. Now, let us walk in quiet. Prepare your mind. You are still on alert, but you are safe. Let your mind rest in that knowledge. But in quiet, the Russian says again. Please. Dave follows and the pyramid grows larger. Chapter 16, Part 9. At the doorway, the Russian, whose name Dave realizes he still hasn't asked, says, I wait here. You go inside. Dave hesitates, craning his neck to look up at the shining white structure. It seems to rise to the clouds to touch the skies. He has 50 questions for the Russian, but he just nods, takes a breath, and steps inside the corridor. His sandals echo on the floor, each step reverberating off of the marble walls. Torches are stationed everywhere, every 20 yards, transforming the white stone into pink slabs. Dave pulls the blanket more tightly around his shoulders. Everything about this feels incongruous. Until an hour ago, he was wearing his security guard uniform, bloody and battered from the last several days of trials. And now he's cleaner than he's ever been, dressed in a simple linen clothing, walking into what, exactly? Except he is safe. He doesn't know how he knows it. He just does. The corridor terminates at a wooden door. There's nowhere to go but through. Dave knocks lightly on the door, but no answer comes. He opens it gently, then says, Hello? On the other side, a staircase descends, lit with more scattered torches. Here he finds illustrations etched into the walls and illuminated by the flickering glow. The scenes seem to become animated in the dancing light. The first scene depicts a throng of people gathered on a beach, surrounded by rowboats and rafts. They are hunched and tired. Some are injured. The next illustration is a collection of scenes that depict a journey. The group leaves the beach, crossing fields and plains and groves toward a distant pyramid. And the next, the group enters the pyramids and finds a room filled with beds. They climb into the beds and close their eyes. Above them, swimming in a circle, is a pod of whales. Blue whales. What did you bring me? Dave touches the largest of the whales. I don't have anything this time, he says. Just me. He keeps descending until the stairs come to an end. Before him stands a heavy door, painted blue. The door is decorated with carvings that echo the drawings he saw minutes ago. Sleeping people, whales swimming among clouds. This time, Dave doesn't knock. He opens the door, and his nose fills with the salty brine of seawater. He can hear water lapping gently somewhere inside a darkened room. But it's ahead, and there are no torches there. Dave places his hand on a wall and walks slowly, waving his free hand in front of him. He can hear voices now, murmuring softly, and the sound of water grows clearer as he navigates the dark tunnel. Soon flickers of orange appear ahead, and the tunnel bends one last time before opening into a large circular room. He stands still in the mouth of the tunnel, taking in the scene. The room is lit sparingly, with just a few torches anchored to the curved walls. A series of rings are carved into the floor, each ring tightening as they lead Dave's eyes to the center of the space, where a round pool of water throws rippling light on the ceiling and walls. The effect, combined with the flickering torchlight, is mesmerizing, a little unsettling. The outermost ring holds beds, 24 or more, each of them several yards apart from each other. There are people there, too, clustered in groups around some of the beds, whispering softly to one another, as if not to wake the others, who are in bed. All the standing people wear masks, decorated with feathers, bones, wood carvings. Beside the pool, a man sits in a rickety chair. He looks up when Dave takes a step forward. Is that connected to the ocean? Dave asks in a hushed voice, pointing at the pool. Through a heavy beard, the man's face breaks into a smile. My friend, the stranger says, getting to his feet. He opens his arms, and Dave, bewildered, feels himself step into the man's embrace. The man grips Dave's shoulders and holds him at arm's length, studying him. Oh, you look very tired, David. Yeah, David confesses. I'm a little tired. I am so pleased you are here, the man churns, and in a loud whisper says, Friends, he is here. Dave looks around the room at all the shadowy masked figures. They all regard him a moment, then return to their conversation. Oh, don't mind them, the bearded man says. They have no foresight. He claps Dave's shoulder, then gestures to his chair. Please sit. There's much to discuss. Chapter 16, Part 10. Despite the exhaustion settling into his bones, Dave listens, rapt, as Safet spins his tale. The history of his order, he says, began centuries before, when the first of the dreamers were contacted by the whales. In those days, Safet begins, but Dave interrupts. The whales, they're real. I thought they were just part of my dream. Safet's smile is gentle. We all thought that in the beginning, he says. We made the mistake of not telling one another, afraid the others would believe us to be crazy. Dave flushes with color. That's exactly how I felt. But they're very real, and much like us, Safet explains, intelligent beyond our understanding, generous of spirit. They serve as our protectors, but more than that, they also create the veil. The elephant said that word, Dave says. Veil, but I didn't understand. I don't understand. A curtain, Safet says, a barrier between our world and theirs. For as long as we have lived on this world, the barrier has been necessary. Long ago, our ancestors battled the beast and died. If not for the whales, you and I, Safet presses his palm firmly to Dave's chest, would never have existed. How long ago? Longer than history records. And for a long time, the veil served its purpose well, until recently, when that evil found a new way into our home. Our dreams. Safet nods solemnly. As a species, we have always been most vulnerable in our dreams. Now most of us have fallen already to the beast. Just a few were strong enough to fight. Even few were able to find their way here to us. I still don't know why I'm here, Dave says. Why any of us is here. This sounds hopeless. That's your fear speaking, Safet says. But we are not weak here. Aristera is a special place. It's where the veil is strongest. Here is where we prepare for the coming war. War? Safet's eyes darken. David, if you do not already realize, we are at war. He stops. You have something many of us have. You have the ability to walk between waking and dreaming. It is a rare gift. Gift? Dave chokes on the word. He remembers the sound Dr. Castaneda made when the pin plunged into his neck. The gurgling sound that came from the doctor's throat as he fought for breath, even as the life gushed out of him. I know what you are thinking, Safet says, placing his hands on Dave's shoulders. You carry it as a burden. You do not see it for the skill that it is. We all carried that weight until we arrived here. You cannot erase the things that came before, the good or the terrible, David. You can only use it to fuel your development of the gift. Let those fears be the mighty wind in your sails. It's so powerful, Dave says, his voice hardly a whisper. How do you even fight it? You've already defeated it. You made it here. That's a victory. A victory? The thing gutted us. Everyone I love is dead. It's taken everything from us. Everything except you, Safet says, accustomed to Dave's pain. Dave realizes the man must have heard this story from everyone who arrived before him. You still have you. Dave paces around the pool, then realizes all the figures at the edge of the room are watching him. One of them, a woman whose face is mostly obscured by her mask, offers him a tender smile. I know that smile. Safet, he says, Safet nods. Yes, she, all of us, were there, watching, helping. The whale asked me for things. Yes. I gave it pills. Safet laughs. Yes. He reaches into a satchel and withdraws a bottle of medication. Dave's eyes widen. Is that? Safet just smiles. How long? Dave asks, looking around the room at all the gentle faces. How long have you watched? You dreamed first in the womb, Safet says. You don't remember, of course, but we heard you. We went to you. I didn't know. No. All the nightmares, the clinics, the studies. All of it was necessary to lead you here, Safed says. And now that you are here, you must rest. Dave yawns suddenly. He's so tired he can hardly stand. We will talk more tomorrow, Safed says, or the day after. For now, you sleep. Shit got confusing quick. Yeah, I'll explain it more at the end when we finish it, cause I can get where like I can get it the confusion. So I'll explain it more. Chapter 16, Part 11. The Russian stands back, holding the door for the three of them. Linda is the first to step into the quiet building, set far from the bustling of the village. Inside, the room is deep in shadow, the only light coming through an open air window shrouded in gauzy cloth. Along each wall is a bed, tidily made, with thick blankets and fat white pillows. Lavender stalks, oh, in little bottles in the window sill, fill the room with a sleepy, pleasant scent. Are you sure it's safe? Linda asks. Mateo turns to the Russian, but the man has already left. It's safe, Dave says. No nightmares here. We can sleep? Mateo asks. His eyes are rimmed with red. No shitting? Dave nods. Truly, nothing will happen to us here. And we'll wake up, Linda says hopefully. We will. The fuck are we waiting for? Mateo asks. I call the window. He strides across the room, then falls face down across the bed. The curtains gently waft around him as a breeze stirs the air in the room. A moment later, Dave can hear Mateo's breathing deepen. Linda turns to Dave. Thank you. For what? This is some Lord of the Rings shit, she says. I didn't believe. And now? Now she looks around at the hand-painted illustrations on the wall. They're nearly identical to the etchings Dave saw in the pyramid. Now I feel like a newborn. She turns back to Dave. And you somehow convinced us. You brought us here. Dave looks down. Not all of us. Linda steps closer, presses her palm to Dave's cheek. I'm sorry, she says. Whatever happens next, we owe it to her to survive. Whatever comes next, Dave agrees. With that, Linda rises on her toes and pulls Dave's head towards her. She, she places a delicate kiss on his forehead, then rests hers against his. Really, she whispers. Thank you. Dave watches as she claims the bed on the eastern wall, waits until she's asleep. Then he steps outside. A ladder leans against the hut and he climbs to the roof. He sits down, legs crossed beneath him, and looks past the village to the ocean beyond, watching as the sun churns the atmosphere to radiant pinks and purples. High above him, where the sky is already darkened, he can see the first faint glimmer of stars. He leans back, reclining on the roof, and watches as a satellite, or maybe the International Space Station, carves a steady arc through the dusk, floating past the constellations. Ursa, the two bears. Aries, the ram. Cancer, the crab. Canis, the two dogs. Cetus, the whale. Dave studies the last one until he can almost see the great mammal swimming in a sea of millennia-old light and shadow. The sun disappears below the horizon, and Dave closes his eyes. Before long, he sleeps. He doesn't dream. That was the end of chapter 16. Now there's two more chapters. There's chapter 17 and then there's the epilogue. So we're almost there. Chapter 17 is real short and then the epilogue is also really short. So we're going to go ahead and get in there. And then afterwards, I'll explain kind of what happened all in the story because it does get very confusing near the end. Chapter 17, Part 1, I Go to Sleep. The dashboard clock reads 4:11 when the battery fails. The headlights flicker, illuminating drops of rain like bullets, and then fall dark. Millie, Eli says, you're not asleep, are you? Fresh as a daisy. Millie pulls at her cheeks, stretching her eyes. I'd actually be waking up soon, getting ready for work. What did you do? Quality assurance. I worked from home. Whole team was on different schedules, so I could keep whatever hours I wanted. 4 a.m. I was usually giving up on getting any real sleep. The all-nighters suck, Eli agrees, but I guess they were good practice for this. Except my all-nighters had Netflix. Mine had Minecraft. Minecraft? There's the Science Guild, Eli says. People all over the world meet up there and recreate old science things there. I was working with some people to rebuild the Beijing Ancient Observatory. It was originally built nearly 600 years ago. That's the nerdiest thing I've ever heard. Eli shrugs, too wary to argue. Is he starting to smell? Millie asks. I can't even tell. Noses acclimate to smells pretty fast. There's this movie I saw once, Millie says. Had Frodo in it, from Lord of the Rings. Elijah Wood. Yes, right. Anyway, he was a kid in school, had to give a report. I remember it really well because he did this report on smells. He was like, "Did you know that smells are particulate? So that means when you smell poop, you're really eating it." She grunts. The stupidest things stick in my brain. Millie stretches, trying not to aggravate her aching neck. Hey, what was that song? Oh my god. Hey, what was the song? What? On the MP3. What song was it? This old Pretender song, Eli says. It's called I Go to Sleep. Millie blinks. I actually know that song. Seriously? It's old. What am I, fresh out of high school? Millie asks. I don't know it because of the Pretenders, though. They're a little before my time, too. I read the wiki about the song once. It wasn't even a Pretenders original. It was by the Kinks, but they never recorded it. Technically, every version of the song is a cover. I know the version by Sia, then, I guess, Millie says. She hums a few notes, and Eli looks at her, startled. Sorry. No, it's a very special song to me. I won't bludgeon it to death for you then. No, I mean, would you sing it? Millie studies Eli's face. His eyes turn large and desperate. Okay, she says. I don't remember the words perfectly, but it's okay. I'm naturally tone deaf. Please. You asked for it, kid. Millie takes a deep breath and begins. When I wake up from my pillow, she sings, it's like you're here with me. I'm not singing that, by the way, just so you guys know. Eli closes his eyes, listening. When Millie finishes, he wipes his face. Thank you, he croaks. You have a nice voice. Don't blow smoke up my ass. But she smiles. Thank you. A gust of wind whips rain over the windshield in a heavy sheet. In the distance, the horizon faintly glows. You think we're going to die here? Eli asks. I think if we are, at least it's going to be easy, Millie says thoughtfully. Everybody says they want to go in their sleep. Ironic, then, that you and I don't sleep. How dare you ruin my immersion? So sorry, Lemus. um, Ironic, then, that you and I don't sleep. Yeah, ironic. But I'm not ready. When I was small, I figured out that whatever my mother was doing, dragging us from place to place in the middle of the night, it wasn't going to end well. Millie runs her tongue over her teeth. I think I made peace with the bad shit way back then. A child shouldn't have to do that, you know? Yes, Eli agrees. I know exactly. I'm with you, though. I'm not ready. She reaches across the gap between the seats and takes Eli's hand. Millie, Eli asks like a child. Sing it again? He nods. Please? Through a curtain of rain, the horizon is a faint wash of violet then rose. As morning draws near, Millie runs her thumb over the baby skin of Eli's knuckles, then squeezes his hand in her own. Softly, she sings again. And that was the end of chapter 17. Um, I think they died. There's like no way they were getting out of that. I'm pretty sure they died. That's why the chapter was I go to sleep. I was really visualizing the story, and then I had to visualize a pocket watch not sing. We have the epilogue next. Apparently I did not make the fucking slide for that, but we have the epilogue next, which is our very last chapter, and it is also very short. So here we go. Epilogue, Part 1. Santa Mira is a ghost town. Street after street lay quiet as the sun appears to the east. Its light touches the rooftops of apartment buildings and shopping plazas, casts its glow on empty intersections and quiet playgrounds. An abandoned ambulance rests on the shoulder of an access road a few miles outside a graveyard silent airport. The Santa Mira Medical Center, its main building walled mostly in glass, catches the sunlight and reflects it like a gigantic mirror. The light floods the parking garage. The carefully maintained lawn and visitor benches slides across the emergency room driveway. On the sidewalk beside the ER doors, 3 bodies lie in an impolite pile. 2 young men, 1 woman. All of them have lain here for several days, the color drained from their pallid skin. Coyotes, emboldened by the sudden stillness in the city, have ventured down from the hills to gnaw at the corpses. Crows have picked at the bodies, removing gobs of flesh from their faces. Their exposed fingers, but it has been long enough now that even the animals are not interested. The abdomens have bloated. The meat has spoiled. One of the bodies, a young man, still wears a face full of broken glass. When he stirs, when he coughs, a pebble of glass is dislodged and skitters across the concrete. He struggles to rise, and cannot, penned beneath the other bodies. A confused, inhuman grunt escapes his throat. The woman twitches next. Chapter 17, Part 2. Between Providence, Rhode Island, and Boston, Massachusetts, A thicket of smashed cars blocks a highway. Tangled metal exploded, and then deflated airbags shattered windshields. And bodies. Many, many bodies. Behind the wheel of a crumpled Toyota Tacoma, a teenage girl, skin mottled, eyes clouded and dried out, blinks. She jerks in place, inadvertently hitting the pickup truck's horn, which rings out over the devastation. A wake-up bugle for the other dead, who stir in their vehicles, many of them penned in place, unable to extricate themselves from the wreckage. Thousands of miles away, a girl in a Steven Universe t-shirt, still wearing her gaming headset, lurches upright. The game controller falls out of her stiff hand with a clatter. Her video stream, still active, shows 400 viewers, but none of them are alive anymore. They just have reliable internet access. Around the world in Luxembourg, Martin Faber gasps and sits up suddenly. The power in his apartment has gone out. All the food in his refrigerator is spoiled, but he doesn't notice the smell. He struggles to stand up, knocking aside his coffee table, sending the plastic TV dinner tray skittering. For days, the projector in the Cine de Luz in Lugo has shined a blank light on the theater screen. The film flaps tirelessly as the reel spins. Alarico Morales' eyes snap open and blinks slowly at the empty white canvas in front of him. A moment later, he stands up. One leg works well, but the other gives way beneath him, and Alarico takes a hard fall. The sound of his left ulna snapping echoes like a gunshot in the theater, but Alarico hardly notices. He rises again, one arm dangling limp, bent, and walks jerkily toward the theater door. I'll explain it. Don't worry. Chapter 17, Part 3. Deep inside Santa Mira Medical Center, in an operating theater, the body of Dwayne Bradley rests on a surgical table. Bradley, who had been admitted several days earlier with a broken rib, now lies decaying with his skull open, his brain shriveled and dried out from exposure. Still, his eyes flutter beneath closed lids, then open. He sits up, ragged flaps of skull still dangling from what's left of his head. When he tries to climb down from the table's unlocked wheels skid away beneath him, and Dwayne Bradley falls again. A fall is what put him in the hospital to begin with, but he doesn't remember. His brain doesn't process thoughts or pain. He hits the hard linoleum floor, striking his head on the table's casters. His sawed-away skull is fragile, and shards of bone crack and scatter when he makes contact. He doesn't grunt in pain, doesn't pass out. He awkwardly churns onto his sunken belly, then forces himself onto his hands and knees, then stands, unsteady, and waits. Several rooms away, Ruth Nelson, still tucked inside the large MRI machine, tries to sit up and cracks her head against the chamber ceiling. Chapter 17, Part 4. 83 miles from Salt Lake City, the electric car rests in a culvert, where Argyle crashed it days before, trying to avoid what it registered as a human walking in the road. Argyle's main batteries were damaged in the crash. The backup has held on, though, operating in extreme low power mode. Willem, wedged on the floorboard, suddenly flails violently. He kicks the gear shift. His head and shoulders are pinned in place by the misshapen dashboard, mangled from the impact. The car is non-functional, I'm afraid, Argyle says. I have attempted to call emergency services with no success. Willem thrashes about, unable to free himself. Would you like me to call the registered owner, Holden Ferris? Willem wails like a wounded animal. I'm sorry, Argyle apologizes. I'm afraid I didn't understand that. Far away to the south, at a now abandoned resort in Costa Rica, Li Zhang opens his eyes. He floats face down in a swimming pool. Pale green lights dance on the tiles below him, but Li doesn't register any of it. He turns over and discovers a deflated plastic raft draped over him, tangled around him. He brushes it away and then stands up in the water. Siri, after you die in a car accident, Jesus. He brushes it away, then stands up in the water. Palm branches and scattered leaves cover the surface of the pool. The storm that blew them there continues to sweep over the hotel. A gust of wind takes the raft from him and wraps it around the rails of the pool ladder. Lightning ripples through the clouds above. A fresh torrent of rain falls upon the pool, turning the water into spray. Bloated and sloughing skin from his many days in the water, box office superstar Li Zhang wades toward the ladder. From high above, the lightning creates beautiful, intricate patterns in the charcoal cloud cover. The ISS passes by silently, too distant to throw a shadow on the planet below. Miroslava Andropov wrung out from days of trying to raise mission control, wonders what it would be like to throw themselves out of the station. How long would it take her to center the atmosphere? How long to burn up on reentry? All her comrades are dead, and she doesn't understand why or how, only that each of them has gone to sleep, and each of them has died without waking. She and Amir and Reggie had stowed the first 2 or 3 bodies in Node 3, strapping them down like cargo. But then Reggie had died, and then Amir, and then Sandy and Kurt and Ling, and Miroslava just left them in their sleep sacks. Answer me, she shouts at the radio. But of course, nobody answers. Whatever has happened up here has happened down there too, and now Miroslava is alone, maybe the only person left alive, and all she can think about is her body and how quickly it might burn up in the atmosphere. Would it hurt? There's a scuffling sound from the corridor behind her, and Miroslava turns. Briefly, hope flares through her exhaustion. But there's no one there. The sound comes again, though. Miroslava drifts toward the crew cabins. She floats just outside Ling's cabin. Again, a thump from within, the sound of fabric rustling against fabric. A faint sigh, or perhaps a moan. Hello? Miroslava asks. Hesitantly, she opens the door. Chapter 17, Part 5. In Aristera, it is late afternoon. In the village, Dave, Matteo, and Linda sit alongside other refugees and listen as the Russian teaches them the basics of lucid dreaming. Matteo frowns, not understanding. Linda pats his knee and assures him she'll help him catch up. The pyramid's shadow falls over the village, a subtle promise of protection. The shade extends past the boundary of the village, its tip pointing roughly toward the distant beach where Dave and the others crawled from the sea, gasping but alive. The water, turquoise in the afternoon light, laps gently at the sand. Water has no memory, someone said once. It has no interest in the affairs of humans. It's ambivalent to the rise and fall of our species. The water has carried history forward, delivering war to distant shores, birthing evolution's first steps, slowly dismantling traces of the past in its depths. Today, the sea watches without judgment, as a figure rises from its depths and walks slowly, unevenly, onto Aristera's beach. Clothing hangs from her body in shreds. Her hair is clotted with foam and kelp. Her skin bears the marks of fish teeth and turtle beaks. One of her ankles is broken and drags with every step. Katie feels no pain, carries no particular thought in her dark and active brain. Her eyes are milky, but not so opaque that her oddly shaped pupils, like smudged black triangles, cannot be seen. As if guided by an unseen navigator, Katie lurches up the beach, toward the faraway white pyramid. And that is the end of our book, guys. We have reached the end of it. Okay, explanation time, because the ending is very confusing. I get that. So from what I can gather from it, let me gather my thoughts. Dave and them make it to the island, where it's safe to sleep because it's protected by the veil. The veil was created by the whales, these like cosmic entities that are trying to protect humanity and the world. But this creature we call the elephant is another cosmic entity that is trying to like devour all of the world and humanity, and it found a way to get through the veil through dreams. Um, yes, I'm very smart. I understood whales and veils and elephants. Yes. So now the ending where like everyone is waking up. So what is it? Safet, when he was talking to Dave, was mentioning how there's a war coming. I'm assuming it's like a war between the entities and humanities having to fight in this war, which is why they're being taught to lucid dream and how to fight in their dreams and all that. Well, I'm assuming that the people who were dead who are now waking up again are going to be like the puppets of the elephant to help fight in this war, and like probably try and kill off all the lucid dreamers and infiltrate the island, which Katie is already at the island because she died, but like got stranded in the water and now she's back. As for our other two, I quote unquote main characters, Eli and Millie, I'm assuming they just died, is what I'm assuming. Because their chapter was "I go to sleep." I'm smarter than that. I kind of slightly thought that. Then I thought I kind of yeah. So basically, it just there's no second book or anything. Like this is the only book, but basically, it's like the start, like the pre apocalypse to like, or not the pre apocalypse, the pre-happenings before a giant cosmic war, basically, is what it seems like it's doing. But it's like it's very like Lovecraftian and very there was very like confusing parts like, but I think they made it pretty clear like the elephant is the main antagonist. It's an entity, infiltrates dreams, kills people that way, all that. The whales are trying to protect humanity. The people who are strong dreamers or lucid dreamers are going to become dream warriors, as the one chapter was titled and whatnot. But very good book. I would definitely recommend go watching the series. It's free on Tubi, by the way. Not a sponsor. But it has Markiplier in it. It's very good, I thought personally. I feel like it kind of makes it clearer, like when you can see everything happening, you can like kind of understand more clearly like the storyline and stuff. So, but yes, otherwise it's very good. How dare you advertise? I know. But yes, it was a good book. Our next book, I heard last time, you guys were like, oh, we should read like dark fairy tales because it's like bedtime stories. So I ordered a very fancy version of all of the Brothers Grimm's fairy tales. I'm not reading Fifty Shades of Grey, Lemus. Fuck off with that. Um, so when that gets here, we will be reading that. I don't think it will be here this week. It'll probably be next week. But that's fine because this week, if you haven't seen my notification or the schedule, this week I won't be streaming as much. I've got a lot of shit going on. I have my sibling's birthday party, and then I just a bunch of stuff going on. So, but after next week, like the following week, it will be pretty much back on schedule. We'll have our new games, we'll have our new book, and it'll be. I am gonna be raiding out, so don't leave just yet. We are gonna go raid someone. So give me just 1 minute. Let's see, who do we have? Do you got any suggestions, Lemus? If not, I'll just do. I only have like one person online right now that I see. Miss Lovely. Uh, Miss Lovely. Is she streaming? La la la. Hold on. Is she streaming right now? I don't see her. Oh, she is. Okay. Could we Clifford the Red? Could we read Clifford the Big Red Dog? Maybe one day. Maybe we will. But yes. So no stream tomorrow, as I said before. But there will be a stream Tuesday. It's our God of War. So hopefully I will catch you then. If not, I will catch you in the next one. Have a good rest, my dear travelers, and bye bye.